What's good, everyone? Happy Monday. Hope everyone's well. I've watched a few of his shorts and my kid listens in. She laughs her ass off at them. The dude's funny, to be fair. The dude is hilarious. I mean, if he feels like getting back in there, why the fuck not? Who are we to tell him otherwise, you know? Who are we to tell him otherwise? How you doing though tonight, Crystal? You good? How's the family? How are the chickens doing? Oh, I've got to get back to making some topic videos, man, for real. Best wing shop near you. Man, do you know what? The food around here is lacking, you know. Basically, if I ever go out and eat, I've got like a I've got like a 20, 30 mile drive really. There's a decent steak place around here and that's it. That's the issue with living in the middle of nowhere. How you doing, Takati? Uh, oh, Frankie tits. That might catch on, you know. I've got a little nice cuppage going on. I'm upgrading to a B cup soon. I'm well on my way. He was talking about his left arm is that it's about 70% of its strength, but it's fairly healed. I mean, hell, he was swinging around a hammer in the live stream. Yeah, that dude's a savage. That dude's a savage. Like I said, I mean, how old is he now? Might be worth getting back in and having one more swing. He definitely pulled some people in. I can see why he's thinking about it. That competitive spirit never quite leaves, you know. I rate it. The chickens have decided they like my cat food, so I have to put that up now. My husband's at work, and the kids running back and forth between TVs. I'm watching my little. I always appreciate the love, Crystal. Who's the best decision fighter in the UFC? Probably Leon Edwards. Like the reason why I'd say he's the best is because he I wouldn't say he makes it entertaining, but like he always manages to just be that little bit above whoever he fights. And considering it's led him to a title, I'd have to say he's probably the best at doing it. Whereas when Bilal does it, he's gonna come up short. Or fucking pray he comes up short anyway. I have to admit I'm genuinely scared by that fight. Like whatever result I get at UFC 304, that would be the hardest to swallow for me. I could take Tom losing, I could take Alan losing, I definitely could take Paddy losing because I'm pretty much indifferent to him. But watching Bilal end that night as champion at my first live like numbered card would be devastating. I don't think I don't think my fragile ego could take that. Especially as I've been gunning Bilal for the longest time. I mean, he's the only person I've done a genuine hit piece on this channel. So that would hurt. That would genuinely hurt. So no, I don't think I could take that. How we all doing tonight though, boys and girls? Hope everyone's well. We're back to midsummer miserable weather in the UK, which I'm really happy about. It means I can go back outside again. My skin doesn't really do very well with the sunshine. So I'm personally happy about that. Hello, hope you're having a good. It is Tuesday. It is Tuesday. Most of our American fans won't appreciate that yet, but it's good, man. It's good. I had an interview earlier on today, which unfortunately they offered me the job, so I've got some stuff to think about. Might be moving to Portugal, possibly. Hopefully, I can keep things going on the channel if I do take it. I like to thrust my tongue in the middle, but other than that, I'm fine. Thank you. You'd have to make an apology video for everyone hates Bilal. Mikey, I'm glad you're here. Yeah, did you see Antoine's rewatching of the Drickus and Sean Strickland fight? And if you have, what do you think of it? Just saying, man. I think I've won that round. He finally admitted that Dricus won that fight, and his missus thought it was Dricus's win as well. So while we're on the topic of apologizing, I'm ready for yours anytime. And those two were fully on your side. Congrats on the job, man. I'm not too happy about it. I kind of took the interview as like a lark, just to keep myself fresh in case I decide to ever go back. But it looks like they're going to offer me some fairly decent incentives to come out of retirement. So I don't know, I might consider it. I've definitely got a few things to think about, and it wouldn't be too bad living in Portugal rather than, mid-July, and it's pissing it down right now. Yeah, Antoine made a video with CJ rewatching the Dricus fight and then scoring it, and he came to a very uncomfortable conclusion. That's all I'm going to say. You could see his reaction throughout of it being like, Frank, you might have had a point. You ain't going to get it. It was worth a try. It was worth a try. How you doing, Angie? It's nice to have you back here. It's been a while since you've been on. Well, certainly a while since you've been in the chat. So good to see you back. Hope everything's good in Aussie land. By the way, Angie, have you seen any weird creatures in Australia yet? Because I've heard rumors that it's like, there's some funky animals there that just kind of come up out of nowhere. I'd like to know if you've encountered one yet. DDP looked like he got hit with a bat in the face. That doesn't make, that's not really how the scoring works, but I get where you're coming from. But I did rewatch the fight as I promised. And I'm more convinced than ever that DDP won that fight. Which MMA fighter do you think you could beat in a street fight? Bilal Muhammad. In reality, nobody. If I had a chance against anybody, and I'm including the entire female roster in that, like I'm not simple. I think I could get it done against Bilal Muhammad. Well, at least it would be like at the very worst, a split decision. Awesome. That means I'm not the only girl in the chat, right? Sometimes you're not. You're probably one of the most only vocal females in the chat, but Angie's pretty solid as well. There's a scary creature from Australia called Ishays that are lethal. What kind of creature are those? And am I being trolled right now? Dude, people give DDP a lot of weight for shots that look pretty that Sean blocked. It was, do you know what? Yeah, with DDP, it was more the kicks to the body that convinced me more than it, and the explosive takedowns as well that changed the trajectory of the fight. If I fought Bilal, he would 50-45 me. But that's the thing. You'd get out of there with your brain intact and your body intact, and you'd be able to go about your day normally. So if I was gonna take the risk against anybody, it would be Bilal. How you doing, Connor's pal? What's good? What's good in the hood? Time to move to New Zealand. New Zealand is very high on my list. I definitely have to get there at some point. How you doing, Larry? Good to have you back, bro. Yeah, New Zealand is one of those places that I haven't got around to visiting yet, but it's definitely up there. I'm kind of wasting my summer, to be honest, going to Spain again, but Germany should be pretty sweet. And I haven't been back to Italy in a while, so we'll give that a shot. I'm so hyped for Rose and Cortez this weekend. I've really looked back at the card, and it's not as terrible as I initially thought. It's still a 2, but it's not as bad as I initially thought it was. We've got a couple of fights on there that are like probably going to be worth watching. And like I said, if you're a gambling degenerate like I am, it's always worth watching just for that. And I'll get drunk, and I won't be doing a watch along. I'll probably jump on Dougie's stream, or hopefully Brutally will do one. I'll probably jump into Brutaly's and just talk some shit in there and just enjoy the card like that. There's no way I'm watching that shit. There's no fucking way on earth I'm doing a watch along for that pile of shit. I want Leon to win, but it's a rap. But the rap from Sausage Party has been training with Nurmagomedov's. I don't really care, bro. I don't think I think on the feet he's gonna have no chance. No matter how much training he's been doing with him, I don't think it's gonna make any difference. He can't do anything on the ground. Not to Leon. I don't see how he beats him. And I'm not saying that Bilal is not an effective fighter. He is. It's just I don't think his style is going to be very good against Leon. If we put it into perspective, right? Can we honestly say that Bilal is as effective as Usman in that regard? He's not. And Leon managed to deal with Usman, so I'm pretty confident that he's going to get it done. 5 and 9 point rounds against the UFC contender is pretty good. I don't know, man. I don't think we're ever going to agree on this, but I understand why you're dying on that hill. The damage was significant. I give you that. So it is what it is. I don't understand why Muslim versus Ponzi is the co-main event and Rose versus Tracy is the main event. It should have been Van versus Johnson co-main and Dober versus Silva main event. I don't disagree with that. I get why they. I mean, Rose for all the. I mean, she is a wet wipe, but like, she is a former champion twice, right? And they need female-led cards so they can pretend that they give a shit about women. That's basically what it is. And I mean, if you're gonna do a throwaway women's main event, you might as well do it now. How you doing, Cheddarhead brother? How you feeling about Canada getting to the semifinals, man? That must have stung. Still winter here, and I haven't seen one yet, but maybe some other part of Australia or out of the city. I have heard it's more like when you venture out. Like many Australians have told me that they don't really encounter too many fucked up things inside the city. So hopefully you'll be all right. Not gonna lie, I feel like Leon might be uncomfy against Bilal's constant takedown pressure. I don't know if Bilal can keep it up for a full 5 rounds though, especially when he's getting touched up. And Leon does seem to put a lot of vitriol behind his attacks because I don't think he respects what's coming back from Leon. What's coming back from Bilal whatsoever. Whereas when he fought Colby, for example, the threat of the takedown was there, so he was a little bit more tentative. Leon's got a very high fight IQ. For whatever people say about him, the fight IQ is up there. And I think he knows well enough that he's going to be able to stop to get up if Bilal gets him down. So I think he'll take the risk. He clearly showed that in their first fight. We got fucked by the ref. I didn't see it, you know. I genuinely thought you'd won that match. After you went 1-0 up, I was like, yeah, you're going to be fine. They're pretty weak. So I was genuinely surprised that you got bundled out. 2 fight night main events in a row headlined by women's MMA as devil's work by the UFC. They're just getting their quota out of the way. Because the conversation's going to come up. What does the UFC do for women? Blah, blah, blah. And they're going to be able to turn around and say, well, we had like 6, 7 cards this year where they headlined. We care about women. It's all just an agenda thing. And especially with who they're aligned with now with TKO and all the bad press. And it's just for that reason. And the thing is, I mean, like, you'd think that the top organization in the sport would be able to put on decent fight nights every week, but it must be harder than we think it is. Panama probably had his family hostage. I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't rule it out, man. Those countries will do anything to win. I mean, Colombia being this far in the tournament as well is testimony to that. I haven't watched one single Copa America match, but I imagine you guys haven't watched one Euros match either, so it swings both ways, you know. It feels a little bit underwhelming now that Brazil are out of it as well. Like, it is what it is. Watch their goal and tell me if that's offside, the only goal of the game. Don't you guys have like VAR technology as well though? Or is that not a thing? If it's not a thing, you should be very grateful because that really ruins the sport. Lurking and working boys. How you doing, Dougie? Good to see you here as always, brother. I liked your pound for pound video. I have a slightly different take on what pound for pound means, but the way that you framed it, I thought your top 20 was brave and accurate for the way that you framed it. Especially having like Pantoja and Leon quite far up. I would have had Tom Aspinall higher though. Hey Crystal, watch a few videos of yours and subscribed as well. Yeah, Crystal's channel was a very nice way of making me feel better about planet Earth and about human beings in general. So I certainly take the opportunity to watch Crystal's videos whenever I can, certainly when they pop up. People overrate Leon's striking just because he looks good on the pads and because of that Usman head kick. He got dropped and almost finished by Barberena and put on skates by Diaz. He did, but there were mitigating circumstances in that. Like with Barberena, I mean, anyone can get caught in any situation. But with the Diaz thing, he was literally beating him up for 23.5 minutes and probably got a little bit lazy in there and got caught. He probably didn't respect the fact that that Diaz could catch him. Leon's a very clean striker, and he's very technical, and he varies up the game a little bit. I mean, he's not somebody who just like spams the same thing over and over. He mixes things up, which makes him very, very difficult to deal with. I think Leon's very underrated as a striker by some. I think people place too much emphasis on knockouts, and that's an issue. You don't have to knock somebody out every time to be a good fighter, but I definitely think the Usman head kick helped. It showed that he could, he is at least capable of it in the right circumstances. I think if Leon went for his fights a little bit more, he'd get more knockouts, but he's clearly got it in his head that he can win a certain way, and that's the way he's gone about things, and I kind of respect that. The Colby fight proved that Leon is not that dominant on the feet. I hear where you're coming from, Larry, but again, you got to remember that Colby went into that fight very much. People still respected his ability to take people down, and that does affect how you strike with somebody in a fight. And I think the fact that Leon, midway through the fight, started to realize that there was something up with Colby, and he started going for takedowns himself to prove that, deserves some respect as well. I don't know. I'm still very high on Leon Edwards as a general mixed martial artist. I think he's definitely underrated by some, and I definitely don't think he's boring. But at the same time, when people ask me to prove he's not boring, it's a very difficult thing to do because it's a very subjective thing. People appreciate different ways of. It's like, for example, I find all grappling heavy matchups to be, or all jiu-jitsu matchups to be very, very dull. I don't appreciate them as much, but I appreciate them within an MMA context. So it all depends on what you like, you know. Cheers, man. Yeah, the list gets pretty subjective. I could see the 2 to 7 being interchangeable. I agree with that. I would have had, if from the way that you framed it, I would have had Tom Aspinall higher purely because, certainly for a heavyweight as well. So if you're talking about the pound for pound, you know, if everyone was the same size, the fact that he's so elite as a heavyweight and can do everything, I would have had him higher. But I agreed with most of what you said. I thought it was a pretty good way of framing that list. Like, personally, I said it in the comments, like, I think that activity and who you've beat and the way you've beat them is relevant. It's just as relevant as your skill set. But the whole thing's confusing. I mean, it's like I said, man, UFC made that list and then they haven't quantified what it actually means. Because everyone seems to be confused about it. It's like the media see it differently from the way that Dana sees it, from the way that a lot of MMA commentators see it. It's all very confusing. But it creates conversation, and that's what the UFC wants. So maybe they're making it deliberately vague for that reason. I pray Leon wins, man, but the way Bilal fights, he's an awkwardly good motherfucker. I agree with that. I'm genuinely nervous about this fight. Like, I'm not saying for sure that Leon wins the fight. I can see a route for Bilal winning it. But if he wins it, it's going to have to be him finding points of control in 3 of the 5 rounds. That's the way I see him winning it. And I don't know if he's going to be able to do that against Leon. I can see him maybe doing it for 2 rounds, like 1 or 2 rounds, but for 3, that's going to be tough, especially when he's getting tagged up, which I think is what's going to happen. I do rate Leon striking, but I don't think he's a top 5 striker in the UFC. I'd agree with that. I don't think he's a top 5 striker. We've got some really good strikers in the UFC. But I think all right, it depends on how you see it. Is he a top 5 technical striker? Maybe not. But is he a top 5 effective striker? You can make that argument. It depends on how you frame it. Leon's a good striker with a super well-rounded game, and that's how he became champ. And that's it. And he doesn't get hit, and he doesn't get hurt often. Like I said, there's only 2 instances really in his career that you can say he was really hurt. And one of them, he was kind of dozing off against Diaz. Shouldn't have happened. Would you rather steal someone's wallet or piss Francis Ngannou off? Steal someone's wallet. Steal someone's wallet. Seems a no-brainer to me. Interesting question. I'm glad that's a very existential question you've come up with there. Do I want to be a filthy thief or do I want to get battered to death? Yeah, it's a tough one. I look at it as the current most dominant fighter in the UFC, regardless of weight. That's not a bad way of framing it either. That's what I'm saying. I kind of see it as a combination of things. Like I think fighting at multiple weights comes into it because that's a way you can quantify how someone's pound for pound. Like they've done it in one division and now they're doing it in another division. And I know with the Alex Pereira one, it's a bit iffy because he's probably a more natural light heavyweight, but at the same time, he made middleweight in what 8 of his 12 fights. So you can't say he's a weight bully from that perspective because he made the weight comfortably on 8 of 12 occasions. So the fact that he's gone up and done it in a different weight class against really, really good competition. I mean, Jan Blachowicz is tough for anybody. Yuri, I know, has his issues inside there, but like I said, he was on a 13 fight win streak and beat some good dudes. And he's obviously starched him twice. And what he did to Jamal Hill as well deserves some level of credit. I know a lot of people are shitting on Jamal Hill now, but dude's good, man. The dude's really good. So I would have had Alex Pereira a bit higher as well. Than and again, his takedown defense is showing that it's holding up now. If Francis Ngannou touches my chin, I meet Jesus. For sure. For sure. For anyone who's not like who hasn't got any kind of chin testing in their lives, that's probably instant death. That's the death touch right there. Who's a better striker, Justin Gaethje or Izzy? Israel Adesanya. Israel Adesanya is a better striker. Justin Gaethje's got power and he is somewhat technical, but he's more of a brawler. He does have some good technical skills about him, and I'm not shitting on him for that. But Israel's definitely a more accomplished striker. It's just that, and again, I don't shit on him for taking the boring approach in a lot of his fights because it's safer. It's a safer way of getting yourself through the sport without getting brain damage. I think a lot of people giving Israel Adesanya shit for that is a bit crazy. But sometimes he can be not the most exciting to watch. But again, for me, winning is more important than entertaining. If I was a fighter, I would definitely have that approach. I wouldn't give a fuck about anyone shitting on me for going out there and being boring occasionally because it's about picking up those checks and keeping your brain intact. So yeah, that's how I feel about it. Like my hating on Israel Adesanya has nothing to do with his fighting capabilities whatsoever. It has to do with his cringy, shitty personality and his general saltiness. That's generally how I feel about Adesanya. But yeah, Cheddarhead, you're right about I think with the pound for pound list, I think introducing it in the first place was extremely stupid. What's the best base for MMA? I made a video about this in the past about whether it's kind of striking or a grappling approach. I concluded that strikers are kind of taken over because it's become a thing now where if you've got a great how you doing, Jay-Z? Good to see you, bro. I think having a striking base is better because people like Leon Edwards have proven that you don't have to be a good wrestler. You just have to cultivate a way of negating takedowns, and then you're in a much better situation. And Leon proved that with his growth. Alex Pereira's proved that with his growth. If you can essentially isolate a hand and stop people from taking you down, you're good to go. So I would say kickboxing is probably the best base for MMA. I would say, outside of piss taking bases, like having a certain body type like Fluffy Hernandez. Izzy's definitely a better striker than Gaethje, and I hate Izzy. Yeah, like I said, my hating only goes so far. I think you can hate somebody for their personality and still appreciate them as an MMA fighter. I left Izzy frozen like Elsa. Bro, Alex is absolutely a weight bully. He walks around at 230 pounds. That's cutting almost 45 pounds. Khabib cut around 20 to 25 pounds, and I hear all day that he's a weight bully, but not Alex. Again, it's two different arguments. I think if you make the weight consistently, you can't really be considered a weight bully. Like, I've made fun of like Jalen Turner being a weight bully for years, But the thing is, you sacrifice something when you cut that much weight. And Jalen Turner's proved that by getting chinned out so many times. And Alex has proved that there was a sacrifice to be made by getting chinned out by Izzy the way that he did, which is probably why he decided, rather than go for the rubber match, that he would fuck all that weight cutting and go up. I think if you make the weight consistently, you can't be considered a weight bully. And that's just my personal opinion. And the reason why Khabib, I think, gets it a little bit more is because he has had situations where he really, really struggled to make the weight. And there were some dubious things around like IV usage and stuff like that. So I can get why it's like, I can get why the argument's different. It's very, very hard to really know. How you doing, Mgal? How you doing, brother? Yeah, man, yeah, that Miami Heat I've heard slaps different. It's cooled down a lot in the UK here, so I'm all good. Do you think UFC fighter pay is fair, or do you think they need to be paid more? Man, I've been talking about this for years. They definitely need to be paid paid a lot more. Certainly in the lower end. I mean, the UFC is not just the most, like, it has the most value in terms of company. It produces the most revenue as well. And when you consider the things that they deduct, I've got two minds about it. They should either be paid more, or things like medical and flights and things like that should not be deducted from a fighter's pay purse whatsoever. And also, I think they should change the fighter pay structure to be like, if you get finishes, you automatically get more money. So I think your win bonus should be set at something, and I think your finish bonus should be set at something. There's certainly things they've got to improve. Criteria for weight bully is not whether you can comfortably make weight. It's whether how much you cut. That's not true though, because at the end of the day, some people are better at cutting weight than others. Like for some people, it's going to be easy to cut 35 pounds, and for others, it's going to be hard to cut 15. It's how you cut that weight and how you go about it. I think that's far too. It's like I said, it's a subjective thing. I think it's that simple. I think if you make the weight consistently and you can fight at your optimum, making that weight, then you're not a weight bully. And Khabib did it, Alex did it to some extent. But as I've said, like, you make that risk whenever you cut weight. You're going to get, like, your chin is going to be less, you're going to be more susceptible to getting knocked out if you're draining that much. And that's the risk you take going in there fighting technically smaller guys. You hope that 24-hour window when you can rehydrate is enough to make up that gap, Yeah, UFC getting rich off these fools, 100%. It's a joke. And how they rehydrate and gain it back. It comes, and that's why I think the Dagestani fighters in particular get more of flack for it, because they seem to be more naturally capable of regaining or rehydrating better in that kind of window. So, how you doing, Shotgun? Good to have you back. We got hit by a hurricane this morning. Luckily, I didn't get any damage. That's the thing. In the UK, man, we don't get extreme weather like that. We get the odd bad storm, but that's about it. There's never anything to, or we get the odd like bad snowstorm, for example, but it's never really too damaging. Dana and his boys are making billions off other people hurting each other. That's the thing. I mean, UFC as a company offers the most in terms of how much revenue they allocate to fighters. Is much smaller than any other sporting organization on the planet by far. It's a disgrace, and like I said, it all comes down to, and it's the deductions they make, and what bothers me most of all, or one of the things that bothers me most of all, is them telling a fighter where to fight and when to fight, and then deducting things like flights and, like I said, making them pay for medical so that they can fight, and then for the medical damages they take after they fight is crazy to me as well. There's so many things wrong with the UFC pay structure, and it definitely needs to change. Not that it will in the near future, because they're getting away with it. So I used to be a fan of Ortega, but not anymore. I'm more sympathetic to the Ortega situation. Like they asked him to fight short notice in the middle of when he was preparing for a weight gain to 155. So it was always on the cards. And I mean, Ortega hasn't fought. I mean, he fought not that long ago and was very impressive. Everyone thought that he was going to get dusted by Yair. So I'm more sympathetic to Brian Ortega. I wouldn't say I'm a major fan of his, but certainly in this weight cutting situation and the fact that he pulled out. So that was more on the UFC than on him. He tried to be a company man and it fucking boomeranged in his face. Is British food bland, or I just hear this on the internet? It depends what you're into. I mean, there are certain British staples that I certainly appreciate, but we're not necessarily known for our cuisine for sure. A real weight bully was Alex Pereira at 185 or Jalen Turner. Again, if you make the weight consistently, I don't agree with that. Again, I can understand your perspective on it. It's like I said, you sacrifice something when you cut that weight. There's no rule where you can't use IV if administered by. There is a rule. You're wrong about that. There's only certain amounts you're supposed to be allowed to rehydrate using an IV. It's in the rules. And it does depend on where you're fighting as well. So as I understand it, there are different rules for IV usage in Australia, for example, when Makhachev got caught out in the first Volkanovski fight. Apparently, according to Australian rehydration rules, you're only allowed to, I think it's 100 milliliters or something like that, which Ali Abdelaziz accidentally came out and revealed was not what Makhachev rehydrated. So it's a bit sketchy because there's not like a universal. It's not a UFC thing. This is where the misconception is. It's not a UFC rule how much you're allowed to use IVs. It depends on fighting commissions and where you're fighting, where the rules differentiate. And fighters have often made that mistake where they haven't known what the rules are and gotten away with it. And it seems like Islam Makhachev got away with it in that situation. Or so the rumors go. I mean, Volkanovski doesn't seem like a guy who comes out and makes accusations without them being somewhat truth behind it. He doesn't seem like that kind of guy. UFC needs to bring back UFC fighters choosing their sponsors. They should, but the problem is a lot of UFC fighters were doing sponsorships that were not on brand for the company. So they'd advertise things like, I don't know, like OnlyFans or whatever. And the UFC is a lot more mainstream of a company now. So as long as they're vetting what sponsorships are allowed, I think it should be allowed. So it's kind of got down to fighters shouting out skinny bets at the end of which I think is quite funny as a way of them getting around it. But they should bring it back, or they should pay them more for the Venom sponsorships. Hurricanes need warm water. Yeah, I know it's a case of, what is it, hot air and cold air, and I don't know the full technicalities of it, but it has something to do with that. So if you're much heavier than your opponent, you're not a bully as long as you did it comfortably. Essentially, yeah, bro. That's on the UFC for allowing this. That's on the organizations for allowing this. Again, you're kind of overgeneralizing because everybody has a different level of how well they can rehydrate. Some people have the advantage of getting away with it and others don't. And I have a feeling the reason why you're annoyed, JJK, is because you feel like some of the Dagestani fighters get unfair slack for that when others don't. The fact is, they're better at doing it. And they've been able to take advantage of that. And that's just how you've got to take advantage of the rule sets that are in place. And they're doing that. Like, personally, I don't have a problem with it because they're doing it the right way and they're doing it within the confines of the rules and what's being allowed. But other people might take exception to that. And it's part and parcel of being an MMA fan. Everyone has very different opinions about those things. I personally don't have an issue with it, but I can see what other people do. And like I said, there's a give and take when you weight cut, as has been shown. Like, hey, Saturday, how you doing, brother? Those are good points, true. They need to bring back short sponsorships, but we know Dana is too greedy for that. I do think it comes down to them obviously controlling how much the fighters make and the rest of it. Sorry, I think Jay-Z, I think I might have missed a comment of yours that I glanced over in apologies for that. I might have missed something you said. Oh, no, it's coming up now. Yeah, Dana's greed is going to catch up to him one day. I don't know about that. I think he's going to continue to get away with it. Evil people always keep getting away with things. It's just the way that it is. And then when they eventually do get caught, they're so rich, it doesn't matter. They can sail off into the sunset with their billions and get cancelled. It's all good. What will it take for the PFL to be a legit competitor to the UFC? Funnily enough, Jay-Z, I made a 5-step video outlining this very thing, where I said the 5 things that PFL needs to do in order to compete. And I mean, it comes down to a lot of things. They've got to be more competitive in the free agency market. They've got to start streaming. They've got to start having fights when the UFC are doing and competing with them rather than pussying out and going on a Friday. Because if your fans think that you're being going on a Friday and not competing directly, then why would the whole mainstream think you can compete? You're showing that you're number 2. They also need to promote a lot better. They need to promote a hell of a lot better. They don't promote their fight as well. And also their whole setup is just fucking bizarre as well. There's too much of a long wait time between fights. Even their walkouts are fucking strange. They have to change their whole commentary setup as well. They got a whole bunch of corny fuckers doing that as well. Basically, they need to change everything. They need to change pretty much everything. They need to scrap the whole PFL league format because it's shit. There are some good things they do in PFL. I like the ref cams, and I like the smart cage idea. I do think those are cool concepts. But the whole like points league and everything is retarded. It doesn't fucking work. It's confusing. It's stupid. They don't have fucking champions. They don't have legit champions. You basically have tournament winners every year. And it's hard to get, but also like they need to include more divisions. I could go on, man. They don't have a fucking middleweight division. They don't have a flyweight division. They're embarrassing, man. They're fucking embarrassing. I could go on and on all day about that, Jay-Z, believe me. Cover flight medicals, don't cut too much deductions, and also pay fighters on finishes and raise the pay. It's that simple, Coda. If you're not willing to give somebody or to increase show money for fighters lower on the card, at least cut the deductions out and make fighter bonuses easier to achieve. Because I mean, statistics came out, and I did a video on this as well, funnily enough, that fight bonuses generally go to people on the cards who don't necessarily need it as much. There has not been one fight in UFC history that has got fight of the night bonus that opened up a card. And if you're telling me that not one card in UFC history has had the opening fight as the best fight, it's fucking ridiculous. So they need to do all those things. And they can afford to do it. Like every single card, we see Dana come out and say, "Oh, like we've broken the gate receipt for this week in this venue." And oh, the sales for this one were bigger than ever. And it's like, you're still paying people like shit. It's like he's deliberately like mocking the fighters every single time he does that. Accusation wasn't made by Volk. It was made by a salty hooker. And hooker, Volk's coach, said that they have proof of using IV. But the reason they don't care is because he did it in limit. He said it in an interview. But again, some fighters don't use IVs at all. It's all a very sketchy situation. And until they make a universal rule for this is how much you can hydrate, it's going to continue to happen. And like I said, the weight cutting thing for me doesn't become an issue. If you can comfortably make the weight on a night, at a given time, as far as I'm concerned, you're not a weight bully. I think you're only a weight bully. The only person who qualifies as a weight bully for me is if you try to make a certain weight over and over again, and then you miss that weight consistently, and then you go in there with an advantage. That to me is a weight bully. If you make that threshold, you're not a weight bully as far as I'm concerned. That's just how I see it. So rich, it doesn't matter what world these cunts live in. 100%, man. Wagwan me slime. We've got a fucking paradox raid. Let's go. You know what people I can't stand? People who don't like and subscribe and put me on their top 5 friends on MySpace. Yeah, man, the subscriptions have been fairly consistent over the last few weeks, but we could definitely do with a lot more. I'm trying to like barrel towards 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible, but like I've said over and over again, I'd be very, very surprised if I get there by the end of the year. It doesn't matter anymore as long as I've got fucking chads like you up in the place. PFL need to bring in elbows, man. No elbows is so soy. Yeah, I mean that's a big problem as well. Not being able to elbow is fucking crazy. And it is soy. It's pussy. It's pussy level. It's not real MMA when you can't elbow somebody in the fucking face. Smash up the like button or I'll permanently ban brutally honest MMA as a sacrifice. Please don't do that. I have to beg my head mod not to ban people. That's the kind of state this channel's in. Islamic fighters being able to make weight, I think their religion helps a lot. They have eaten clean, fasted every year since childhood, don't drink. It's a very good lifestyle for losing weight often. And I think they should be able to reap the benefits of that. I think if you lead a clean lifestyle where you're not drinking like a fucking fish and your lifestyle, where you're obviously in a position where you're fasting more If you can take advantage of that, why not? Like, I've got nothing against that. I really don't. Intravenous infusions and or injections of more than 100 mils per 12-hour period are prohibited, except for those legitimately received during hospital treatment, surgical. But then that's the thing, JJK. Again, you can justify that. You can get a doctor to sign you off on those things. In how many times, for example, have you missed work and you've needed to get a doctor's note and you've just pitched up to a doctor and been like, look, doc, I couldn't be bothered to get up this morning. I need you to do me a solid, and they've done it for you. It's the same. You can always get a dodgy doctor to sign off things for you. So that doesn't really justify the situation at all. I think it should be a very clear thing. You should be allowed to rehydrate using IVs to a certain limit, and that's it. The cutoff point should be the same wherever you are. And it shouldn't be different in Abu Dhabi and Australia and America or wherever. It should be the same everywhere. And if you're not able, if for a doctor's reason you're allowed to do it, you shouldn't be allowed to fight, because that's when it gives you an advantage over different people. Because rehydrating is a massive thing. Like, it's something that isn't talked about enough. And there have been fighters that have gotten away with it. I'm not saying that Islam necessarily did, because I don't know the full situation. But the thing is with rules like this is there's always ways of skirting around it. When you allow we saw what happened with TRT for ages, and with cannabis use on the opposite scale. Like, there was a time in MMA, remember, when TRT was allowed with doctor exemptions, but you weren't allowed to fucking bun a spliff 2 days before your fight. Like, that's going to help you? It still hasn't been perfected, and we're a long way off getting that done. Bring in elbows and get rid of Dan Hardy. Weston, you ban me, I'll send the ghost of Jeffrey Dahmer to grape you in your sleep. And Brutally does have that authority. He does have that capability. Voodoo is real, people. So there's no limit if given by a doc. Hooker in Islam was given IV by a doc, and Hooker's coach said he did so in limit. So either way, he did it within the rules. That's the thing, though. It's like what I've said. When you start getting doctors' exemptions, when you start allowing for doctors' exemptions, it allows for shadiness. Because you can't tell me there aren't some shady fucking doctors out there that are willing to do that for certain people. It just is what it is. Khabib missed weight against Gaethje. The video is out there. There's been a few situations where that happened. And again, if you look at it in reverse, the fact that Charles got stripped of his belt when there was clearly some dodgy scaling going on, man, it happens. The whole weight thing is still a whole issue that they need to sort out. I think if they made more intermittent weights, I know it's a problem with diluting the sport, but I think if you had weight classes that were 5 pounds apart or consistently 10 pounds apart, weight misses would happen far less often. Abu Dhabi doesn't have a commission, does it? Not in the same way. I do think there are some kind of rules, because you have to have a commission in order to license an event. Certainly an event that's going globally, but I'd say it's definitely more loosely monitored and loosely policed, I would say. But there are rules that apply for sure. So basically, USADA is allowing it. Well, USADA's not a thing anymore. USADA's been obviously tossed out since January. But they are using another legit commission, so it's difficult to... There's definitely some loopholes and some cracks in the system that are being taken advantage of all the time. Michael Jackson's doctor was giving him all kinds of drugs he shouldn't have had prescribed. We see it all the time with celebs. That's it. There are so many dodgy doctors that shouldn't have licensing practices that are allowed to freely go around and sign things off. So it's a difficult justification to make, for sure. Be back. I'm going to eat dinner. Nice one, brother. I love when you turn up, Mikey. And do watch that Making the Walk video that Antoine made. If somebody could link it in the description, I'd really appreciate it. He basically did a watch back with his wife, where he rewatched the Drickus and Sean fight, and he was very heavily in Sean Strickland's corner. And now he's saying that DDP won the fight. That's all I'm going to say. So have a look at that. It was a really good video idea as well. I thought it was excellent. I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna smoke a blunt and eat a Happy Meal. Is that a good combination? Yeah, the blunt and Happy Meal combo. I might need 7 or 8 Happy Meals from my experience. Especially after a blunt. It's been a long time. 3 things PFL needs: 1 elbows, 2 knees to a downed opponent, and Mario Yamasaki. Yeah, that would help. That would definitely help. We need some more late stoppages, people. For sure. We need to get some more late stoppages up in the building. That would definitely help. But there was literally, I mean, I did a 5-point plan the PFL needed to do. I could have made about 20. They are a laughing stock. I actually genuinely think that Bellator runs themselves better than the PFL does. I really do. I think PFL is just more of a like corny version of the UFC. Because Bellator does do a lot of things right. And I rag on them all the time just because I really want them to start doing better. I really want them to do better. I thought UFC was basically policing themselves in Abu Dhabi. No, there are some. I mean, I don't know the full extent of it, but I know that, for example, there is an IV rule in Abu Dhabi as well. You can't. I don't think you can get fights sanctioned without some kind of body involved in it, from my understanding of it, anyway. But things would certainly be a lot less. It would be a lot less stringent in somewhere like there, which is why perhaps certain fighters from that region prefer to fight there. There may be more of a flaunting of the rules in those regions. It is something definitely just worth investigating. Yamasaki, hell yeah, Dougie, mate. By the way, if you're not subscribed to Dougie's Corner, please do that immediately. And anyone who's here, feel free to give yourselves a shout out at any time. That's how we roll around here. Doctors all over the world try to convince everyone in my country to poison themselves. Bro, I'm still salty about that. Like I said, I was living in China at the time, and I had to vaccinate. I held it off for as long as I possibly could, but I had to vaccinate in order to leave the country and get a booster shot as well. So I'm fully fucked. I'm probably gonna grow like a second dick in the next 5 or 10 years, which I wouldn't really mind. But there's definitely going to be some long term, like, they've definitely planted us with something dodgy. I guess we just have to wait to find out what it is. I'm hoping for the second dick. I could definitely use one. They do have a commission. They use the same referee as the ones the UF uses. I think the ref thing is separate though. Like the ref union is separate from MMA. Sorry, MMA organizations. They're obviously hired like externally. They're their own entire organization. Because you see refs popping up all over the place. They've got their own thing. Basically, the UAE MMAF. Sorry, one second. I just lost that there. Were the shadow sanctioning body with the UFC. That makes sense. It's the most sketch thing I've ever heard of. Pretty much. Like I said, there are some definite flaunting of the rules going on over there. Before the UFC went to Abu Dhabi, there was no MMA commission. The UFC helped set up that region's commission, so they go hand in hand. Yeah, and I mean the fact that a commission is needed to sanction a fight is obviously why that was facilitated. But there's still dodgy practices that go on. The fact that there's no universal commission rules is an issue. It should be the same everywhere. There should be a universal set of rule sets that say, right, this is how much you're allowed to rehydrate. This is what you're allowed to take into your body. This is what you're not allowed to take into your body, and so on. Just to make things more clear. Because there's still a lot of unknowns in terms of what helps a fighter to win. And I still think people are getting away with juicing, and there's substances out there that people are unaware of and that should be on the ban list and aren't. There's a whole fucking tapestry of issues going on. But it is what it is. How you doing, Mo? Good to see you, brother. The UFC has too much power right now, and it's insane. Yeah, and that's the thing, because the UFC is known to favor a lot of fighters over others. It's concerning. I mean, we still haven't got through the whole like Israel Adesanya gyno situation. I'm not saying he's taking performance enhancers, but he definitely doesn't have cancer, like he was alluding to, the fucking shady cunt. So it's a matter of time before they get fucked. I mean, the UFC eventually is going to have another antitrust style lawsuit in its future. It's guaranteed. And Dana White is also going to have a Vince McMahon style. It's when the powers that be decide that he's no longer useful, and then it will all be revealed. Because Dana White's definitely been slinging dick for a few decades. And who can blame him? Now I'm gonna watch this high and eating a junior cheeseburger and fries with a Coke. Interesting choice there, sir. Are you working on a budget? Is that the situation? I'm in the McDonald's parking lot in my car. This is what I'm saying. This is what I love about this this community. We're watching from all over. We're watching on the toilet. I imagine most of you are watching on the toilet because that's where I'd watch my streams from. McDonald's parking lot is a very excellent choice as well. Making a walk. I was just bigging up your video there, bro. Really enjoyed it. We definitely have to do more of that. I would definitely partake in a rewatching of old fights that had contentious decisions. I'll put it that way. I would definitely do that. It's a great idea. Izzy's tit is back. There was a picture of him recently where the gyno has returned. Adesanya grows a titty every time he fights. He's already grown one for the GDP fight. As JJK said, it is back out there again. And it's looking very nice, I have to say. I'm a saggy tit fan. It's one of my fetishes. A drooping tit. Don't ask for the story behind that. It's much cheaper to have a out of court settlement every 10 years rather than paying them fairly for 30 years. 100%. Man, the thing is that the UFC has tightened up their... Off the back of that, the UFC has been able to tighten up their contracts even more. So the chances of them being attacked for fighter pay is far less likely in the future. And it is something that we've covered on my channel and on Making the Walks channel. We've done it a fair amount. Fighter pay is one aspect of the game that really pisses us off because we like our money around here. And we don't like seeing people get fucked for their paper, especially when they're getting paid to batter each other's brains in. And the fact that we don't know enough about CTE as well is concerning. And as much as I like to troll and take the piss out of people's lives, paper is one aspect of the game that I don't like to fuck around with. Can't wait for the Dana White allegations like Vince McMahon. They're coming. They're coming. If you think he hasn't been dicking his way through the UFC, you don't understand the game. You don't understand the game at all. If I looked like a fucking thumb and I was that powerful, I'd be using my influence as well. So it's not like I'm even blaming him. I get it. What's good, everyone? What do you think of Darren Till winning and who's next? Maybe Masvidal. That's a fight they could possibly do. I don't really think it's that big for Masvidal because Darren Till's name is literally in the gutter now. I mean, the dude got double legged in a fucking in a boxing fight and got taken down. I will say this about Darren Till though, he did look pretty handy with his hands. Like he does look like a fairly decent boxer, but it's so typical of Till to somehow take an L and a loss in a win. But he does look reasonably decent as a boxer. And then his call out afterwards saying that Jake Paul and who was it? Who else was it? He called out two people and said that they were ducking him. Jake Paul was one of them. Like he started screaming that they were ducking him and that they didn't want a piece of him. And I was like, I don't know, man. I think it's because you're not a big enough name. Nobody really cares about you anymore. But that's what I think about that situation. For Masvidal's 39 years old. If I was him, his only option right now is to try and rebook that, is to try and fight Diaz again. Possibly in a different thing. We were talking about it in chat yesterday. They fought in MMA, they fought in boxing. Maybe if they did something like bare knuckle, that would pull people back. Because it's another reason to say, all right, they've done two different disciplines. If they do a third, maybe that could pull in some intrigue. And many people think that George Masvidal won that fight. And I'm calling him George on purpose. I know it's Jorge. I call him George because it amuses me. Some doing coke off a golden mirror, some at the parking lot at McDonald's, and me, my balls stuck in the oven again. Oh, I fucking love that. Who's the worst striker in each division? I mean, we'd really have to get into it. We'd really have to pull up each division and go through it. Maybe if you throw a division up for me one at a time, maybe we can do it like that because that's definitely one for an entire video. I reckon Till versus Chavez Jr. will get rebooked on that's the most likely. Because I think Till's proven that he's fairly handy at boxing, and I think he could get it. I think he could do fairly well. He's not a bad boxer. When you take away the kicking and the takedown threat, Till is dangerous, and he's scary in there because that dude is massive, and he can box. Hey, buddy, glad I'm seeing you in every channel. Yeah, Weston's the guy, man. But they fight harder. If we pay them too much, they won't care as much. That's one way of justifying it, I guess. Keep them starving and they'll be hungrier. It's a fair argument to make. Yeah, only Darren Till gets an L when he wins. Be sure not to miss this absolute drivel as well. Yeah, I guarantee you that piss. I forgot that would piss you, Weston, off as well. It was an an objective way of rewatching the fight. Drickus won. You guys need to stop coping. Dana is definitely dropping some dick off in 3 particular divisions. 4 if you count heavyweight. If you know what I'm saying. I don't know why my eyes started doing that. It's Making a walk MMA, much love. I'm just tuning in. How did you score the Masvidal versus Diaz? I'm going to be honest, Iron It's good to have you back as well. I'm torn on that one because I thought that Diaz obviously landed more volume and I thought he won the fight. But I also thought that when they read out the scorecards, I thought Masvidal was going to get the nod. So I don't know. It definitely wasn't a robbery like people are claiming it was because it was very close. Every round was pretty much close. I just thought Diaz landed a little bit more, but I thought that that Masvidal landed with more impact, but he didn't do it in enough rounds. I think that was the issue for me. I think Masvidal hurt Diaz more than the other way around, but Masvidal didn't do it in enough rounds, and that's where it kind of stood for me. So I'm okay with Diaz winning the fight, but if it had been called a draw, I wouldn't have been angry, and if Masvidal had won the fight, I wouldn't have been angry either. It was just one of those fights that was really close. And I don't think anyone can really be upset by whatever the outcome was. The fact that it was in California probably didn't help the situation as well. Till was talking with Ariel about wanting... It was Mike Perry was the other one. It was Mike Perry. He said that Mike Perry's ducking him. I find that very unlikely. I just don't think Darren Till... I don't think Darren Till is getting ducked for his fighting ability. I think he's getting ducked because nobody really gives a fuck about him anymore. He needs to get his name value up. And that last shit show that he was just in probably hasn't helped with that situation. That's all I'm going to say. I don't think it's helped. By the way, boys, just a quick reminder. If you guys are not liked, if you haven't liked and you haven't subscribed, please do so. I'm crawling my way to 800. It's taken a long time, but hopefully we can get there soon. I'd really appreciate it. Till aged 20 years in 4 years. His face was puffy, was probably in PD. Till was never that good. Till's been riding beating Cowboy. That's what basically launched him into the stratosphere. He hasn't had a high-level win other than Stephen Wonderboy in his entire career. Those were his only 2, and Cowboy was pretty washed at the time, and it was a much bigger win. I mean, Till was basically coming down from a middleweight frame, and Cerrone was coming up from a lightweight frame. Of course, you should have smashed him. So I don't know. I think Till's mouth and the fact that he's British has helped his career greatly. Welterweight and lightweight. Ooh, all right. Are we talking about rankings, ranked fighters? Let's pull up the UFC rankings just to give myself a little bit of worst striker in lightweight. In the rankings, you have to go. Ooh. In the current rankings, I would go Dariush. You have to go Dariush. In terms of striking, and at welterweight, you have to go Bilal. Or Neil Magny. But outside of that, I mean, the conversation could get really sticky. Yeah, shout out to I9's the absolute Chad. Go and subscribe over there as well. I had to fight a draw just to be fair. I was thinking draw was probably the most. I thought they'd give it a draw just because you could very clearly give it a draw, and obviously you want them the potential of not ruining both their standings. And I feel like what's sad about this situation is George has a case for winning, and his career is basically in the gutter now because he can't call for Jake Paul because Jake Paul fucked up Nate Diaz. So the only avenue left for him is either to go scuttering back to the UFC and see if he can get them to take him back, or rebooking the Diaz fight. That's basically all he's got. But it was an entertaining fight. I will give it that. It was fun. It was fun to watch. And the fact that they made us wait all fucking night for it. I mean, those people that were there with us on the live stream, it was a slog. We literally were on for 5.5 hours, and I was only planning on only going on for 2.5. So it was literally like 6 o'clock in the morning when that fight finally kicked off, and I was very upset. The eye twitched because of your PTSD with the BBW, probably. Probably. It was a bit of a Freudian tell there. I'll put it that way. I don't know how Nate didn't get KO'd by George. It's just, bro, Nate doesn't get KO'd with 4-ounce gloves. You think anyone can KO him with 10-ounce gloves? He doesn't have a brain. I've been saying this on lives for a long time now. You have to have a brain in order to have it switched off. How you doing, Chris Gray? What's good, brother? Yeah, so I'd have those two as the worst strikers in the divisions you mentioned. Cold Art. Till was lucky he came up right as Bisping retired, so the UFC pushed him to the moon as a replacement for Bisping as the face of the UFC UK market. 100%. Being British really helps. Like, you're going to get an unnecessary boost when you're from that side of the world, or that part of the world, for sure. We've seen it with Paddy. We haven't seen it with Leon, which we probably should have done. But we've seen it with British fighters all over. You know, fairly so with Tom Aspinall, to be fair. Like, Till only had a left hand and never improved, especially with his takedown defense. Yeah, he never got that right. If anybody struck with him, they were always going to have a even fight with him. But as soon as you take that guy down, he's fucked. If Till returns to the UFC, would you like him back at middleweight or welterweight? He can't make welterweight anymore. He's not disciplined enough. There's no way he'd come back at welterweight. Till's done. He'll probably make a little bit more money just from having a little bit of name value. He needs to take that Chavez Jr. fight and smash him out. That's what he needs to do. Like, do it where there's a spotlight, and maybe he can propel himself into a few more boxing fights. But he's done an MMA. Diaz had more volume, landed at a smaller clip, but had Masvidal shelled up even though he wasn't hurting him. And that's the thing. Masvidal's body language in a lot of those rounds was terrible. He was shelling up for large parts of the round. And it's not a good look for the judges. I'm not surprised that it got scored the way that it did. Because even though Masvidal was landing nice flush strikes, it's not enough in boxing. It's not like it is in MMA. You know, you're literally looking at volume, and an opponent's body language is very important in boxing, because especially when boxing's a lot harder to score, I found, generally. George rematch Wonderboy or fight Kevin Holland. I guess you could do that. I don't want to see him back in the UFC. George is pretty much cooked. I don't want to see him back. I think he spent too much time off. And again, he probably walked into that Diaz fight thinking, I fucked him up in MMA. It's only going to be striking. I can just go in there pretty much with limited training and fuck him up. And he was very much mistaken. I said that Diaz was probably going to win the fight and that he was a good dog. And it turned out to be the case. And people that followed that made a lot of bank, including Conor McGregor, by the way, who made money. He made more than both the fighters combined just betting on them, which I thought was quite funny. I'm the best striker in the super heavyweight division. How much do you come in at, Cold Art? I don't know why I'm struggling to say your name. Retardation, I think. 50-45 John Jones, I'm the GOAT. How hyped are you for Rose and Tracy main event this weekend? It's nice that I'm going to be able to jerk off and watch a fight at the same time, I guess. I mean, that's the dream, isn't it? So I've got that. I mean, Rose is probably going to ruin my boner, though, so probably not. I'm hoping that Cortez's sex appeal is going to be able to outweigh watching a 14-year-old who looks like a 14-year-old boy in there. So I don't know. There is that, but no, I mean, the card is definitely better than I thought it was. It's still shit, but it's definitely better than I thought it was. So I'm all right with it. Like I think the fact that it's coming off having a week of no MMA is better for that card because more people are likely to tune in. I'm not really concerned about the Denver card because of how the elevation will affect the fighters. That is a factor as well that people forgot. That could, but it could have a positive or negative impact because we might get a Rockhold Costa type slugfest that's just sloppy but fun. I don't know. A shit fight card is better than no fight card, 100%. I think it, like I said, I think it coming off a week where we had that boxing shit show is helpful for that card, and we're all going to tune in. £5,000. Fucking hell, bro. You should definitely get some help there. Who does Diaz fight on his UFC return? Nick. Let him fight somebody that's at his level. There have been people all over Twitter for the last 24 hours saying that he should fight Shavkat or I don't think anyone's really serious about that. He shouldn't be coming back. He always has an avenue because he is a name and the UFC likes that, and they don't have to pay him ridiculously for how much people he brings in. If you stick him on a pay-per-view, you'll get your money's worth with Diaz, and that's the thing. So the possibility of him coming back is there. If I was him, I wouldn't do it. He can make enough money from boxing. Diaz versus MVP. Why not? MVP's pretty much done now. There's some fun fights you can make with him, but any chances he has of getting anywhere near the title is gone. Imagine if Masvidal versus McGregor happened when it was supposed to be back in the day. Such a missed opportunity. They fucked that. They fucked that so badly. There was a point when Masvidal was a near 1 million pay-per-view star. If you got him and McGregor against each other, that would have done 2.5 million pay-per-views. I have no doubt about that. But now it probably wouldn't. I still think it would do fairly well, but it's not going to happen now. Masvidal's too old, and McGregor's probably never fighting again. And I'm standing by that. The fact that they haven't rebooked that fight already from a damaged pinky is very, very telling. He's not coming back. I called it, and I stand by that. I made my first McGregor isn't coming back video about 2.5 years ago. And I've made I think I made another 1 or 2 since. And I've proven to be very correct. I wish we had George versus Leon. That's another fight. There's no point in making that either now. Leon Edwards would fuck George up now. It wouldn't even be close. I don't think it would have ever been close, but there was a time where we believed it could have been close. But we're never going to get it, and rightfully so. And I agree with you, Antoine. It's a fight that slipped away. It was a terrible missed opportunity from the UFC. It would have been huge. But they can still do Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz. Even now, they could still do it. And there's a chance that I still think that Chandler's going to get shafted, which would be hilarious. Leon will have a striking match with George, and he'd win it. Jorge was never that good, but I give him props for actually making a career out of what was looking like a journeyman situation. I rate him for that. So, there is that. Like, I give him that. Conor versus Masvidal coming off the Nate fight for the BMF would have been massive. It would have, but Conor was just not in a place to come back. I think Conor's stalling. I don't think he genuinely wants to come back. There's nothing about his body language or what we've seen from him that suggests so. Like I said, I did see him talking live at the Bellator event, and he did seem a lot more coherent and with it than people suggest. Like, I could understand what he was saying, which is saying something considering every McGregor interview I've seen. I haven't understood a word that's come out of that guy's mouth for a long time. I don't think he's in it anymore. I think he's done. And I think the UFC knows that. I think if Conor McGregor could get out of his contract right now, he'd do it. And he'd go and box or he'd do something else. I think Conor McGregor was deeply pissed off by how much money he realized he could have made. And there's a lot of anger about that. And rightfully so. I'd be pissed off too. And that's just the way it be. I don't really care if he comes back either. And the same thing, and Cold Art, the same goes for Hamza. I don't care if he never fights again. I couldn't be bothered. What's up, brother? How long have you been streaming for? I've been streaming for about an hour and 10 minutes, I think. Something like that. I've been around for a little while. Good to see you, Paradox. Do you subscribe to Paradox to Chad? Paradox, have we hit 100 yet? Paradox is ball achingly close to 100 subscribers, and he fucking deserves it. Conor is never fighting again. I said the same thing when they announced Tough. It's been there. Like, it's been there. I don't think he's fighting again either. I'm not doing it to be a dick about it, because I loved Conor McGregor back in the day, but he's done. He is done. It could happen in boxing. That fight could happen in boxing. I wouldn't be that surprised. But they're not going to release McGregor to do that again. They won't. They're definitely at a stalemate. McGregor was playing with his sons and he put pressure on his toes on both the foot just a week after UFC 303. I literally saw him the next weekend in Dublin. I think he did it to show, fuck you. I don't think the toe thing was a legit thing. I think he genuinely is like, it's a combination of like not being happy with how much he's being paid and not wanting to fight as well. He's one more embarrassment away from being done for good, and I don't think he wants to face that reality. I think Conor likes the idea of being a fighter more than actually being a fighter. 100%. 100%. I think what he should do is he should focus on propping up BKFC and just, now that he's a part owner, get involved in pushing those events and just be done with fighting, because he just hasn't got it anymore. Who would have won if Leon or who would have won, Leon or Hamza, if they fought? I think Leon would have won that fight, and I've been saying that for a while now. I said it before the whole debacle with Hamza. When I saw Hamza fighting Burns, I was convinced that Leon would have been able to deal with him, because Leon would have gotten out of that first round. And then we know that Hamzat's cooked after 5 minutes. If he would have fought Leon in a 5-rounder, Leon would have beat him. I genuinely believe that. Hamzat can barely get through a 3-rounder, let alone a 5-rounder. And it would have been at championship level. And I don't think Hamzat would have finished Leon. Leon is very, very competent on the ground. He's not good at offensive grappling. He's not good at offensive jiu-jitsu, but he's good at defending it. And that's all you need. No sketch, but Gray looks dapper on you, Frankie. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. I appreciate the homoerotic comments. I definitely appreciate it. I don't get much compliments from females these days, so I'll get them where I can take them. Or I'll take them where I can get them, rather. Conor's window makes an actual comeback was in 2020, coming off the Cowboy win, but COVID fucked it all up, and now he's too old and washed. He's done, yeah, he's done. But he's again, when you're living the lifestyle that he's living, can you really blame him? Izzy versus Kamaru, who would win? Ooh. Kamaru. I think Kamaru at middleweight could have been genuinely good. Actually, I don't know about that. I think Izzy could point fight him. I think Izzy would just I think Izzy would win. I think Izzy would wrap his legs up. Kamaru's knees are shot. I think Izzy would land some really nasty leg kicks to start the fight out, and that it would be a struggle for Kamaru after that. I don't even think it's that shotgun. I think Conor is surrounded by yes men and gangsters. They probably tell him every hour of the day he's the GOAT. Probably that. I mean, the ego on this guy must be next level. Charner could have fought for the title again, and instead he waits for Conor. I don't know if there's a lot of truth in that. I think that Arman is going to be able to come back in the window that Islam is probably offering. I don't think we see Islam back until November, and Arman's ban will be over by then. So I think we're just going to get that. I think the UFC may have floated the idea to Chandler just to keep him happy, because he's probably in the middle of a meltdown right now. So they're probably like, "Whoa, buddy, like, don't kill yourself. Don't kill your family. Don't Benoit your family. How about a title shot?" And then he's calmed down. He's put the Bible away, and it's brought him back down to earth, because it was looking sketchy for a minute there. It was looking like a murder spree was on the cards. So I don't think it's ever a thing. I think Chandler will be booked against somebody else. I don't think the Conor fight's ever going to happen. Chandler's only got himself to blame. He's only got himself to blame. Waiting around for McGregor is a fool's errand. If Conor Chandler happens, it will be at the Sphere. Dana saying the Sphere is only happening once makes sense to me. The only reason why I don't think it will happen in the Sphere is because the amount of gate receipts they get from a Conor McGregor fight in the US is insanity. And I don't think they'll make the same money doing it in Mexico. Certainly from gate receipts. They'll probably get the pay-per-view. They'll probably make it up in pay-per-views, but they're going to get the pay-per-views regardless of where they put the fight. So they don't. Conor McGregor's only going to be fighting in Vegas, because you can pull in people to come in, not just for the fact that the fight's on, but that they can enjoy the Vegas experience as well. The hotel industry gets a massive boost. The gates that they can charge for that. I mean, they were selling front row seats for 303 at $30,000. You don't get away with that in any other fucking situation. And they do care about those gate receipts, probably as much as they do pay-per-views. So I don't think we'll see it at the Sphere. I'd like to see it at the Sphere, but how you doing, Aaron? I haven't seen you for a while. How you doing, my man? Well, a while for you. Hope you're doing well, brother. Leon Edwards says 100% in every interview. It's a British thing. We like to add statistics into things when they're not required or needed. Who you got? Mikel Pereira or Fluffy? I've got Fluffy, but I'm nervous. It was we talked about it on stream a couple of weeks ago. The Mikel Pereira fight and the Fluffy fight was the one fight I didn't want to see in the middleweight division, because I think Fluffy deserves a bump up. And the fact that he's fighting somebody who's only slightly ranked above him, and shouldn't be, by the way, is an issue for me, because it seems like a risky one to take. If he beats Mikel Pereira, he's only going to go up 2 ranking spots. And Mikel Pereira is probably the most dangerous guy in and around him that he could have taken. So I'm worried. I think that Fluffy just needs to get out of that first round. He needs to avoid getting smashed out, and he'll win the fight. That's where I'm at. Because I think Mikel Pereira is going to go all out to dust him in that first round. And if Fluffy can survive it, I've got him all day long. But the question is, can he get out of that round? Because he has been chinned once in the past. And Mikel is fucking sleeping fools at middleweight at the moment. Do you think the mixed martial arts is rising in the UK right now? Definitely. There's gyms popping up all over the place. Like even in the small part of the country that I live in, there are MMA gyms popping up everywhere. Like I've got my son had his first MMA class this week, and he's only 3. So it wasn't so much a class, and it was that like he was kicking a few pads and like, you know, playing with colored cones and like jumping off stuff. But I definitely think it is. I think MMA is much bigger in the UK, but it's still hard to find MMA fans in real life, which is why I made this channel in the first place. Most of my friends are still very much boxing and football dudes. Kids going to MMA gyms right now prove my point exactly. I've got my 3-year-old going. Arman suspension will get reduced so he can fight in October in Abu Dhabi. That's exactly what I was saying as well. I think that's what will happen. I think it will be him and Islam in October, most likely. I just hope we all get to see that Arman video he has for making the reduced suspension. I hope so too. I imagine it will be the most like tongue-in-cheek video ever made. The Sphere is in Vegas. It's literally a block away from. I did not know that. I thought it was happening. So what? Maybe I misunderstood that entire situation. Oh, or maybe it's because it's for. Is it for like some kind of Mexican event? Maybe that's where I got it confused. I didn't know it was happening in America. That will show you my ignorance. If that's the case, then they should definitely do it there. I've kind of been busy later on in the day since I've been tutoring again. Man, shame on you for letting your actual job and your life get involved in getting in the way of being in my live streams. Shame on you, sir. Cheers, lads. Taking a fat hit of the dab pen while obviously listening to the better dog innate do double G. Oh, god damn. I was wondering when that was going to come up again. The difference in the gate at the Sphere and T-Mobile is about 2K more at the T-Mobile, but I think the timing would be the biggest issue. You know they'd like to give Connor a long marketing runway. Yeah, they do. But it's like you said in the past, though, like the amount of hype that could be generated from Connor coming back at short notice as well would be huge. Because you could pump out a massive marketing campaign. Because I think the problem with Connor having advanced notice now is that the fans are very apathetic to him turning up. So if he gets booked, say 10 weeks from now, 12 weeks from now, the first narrative is going to be, is he even going to turn up? And I think there is reduced hype from that. Whereas if you say suddenly, oh, Conor McGregor's going to be fighting in 5 weeks or 4 weeks, it suddenly feels more likely in a strange way. I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching a little bit there. The problem with Fluffy is he's been KO'd by Holland and subbed by Marcus Perez. So there's many opportunities for Mikel to win. But if Mikel somehow gasses, he can win. That's exactly how I see it. And the way that Mikel has been starching people at middleweight is legit scary. It's legitimately scary. It really is. Like, I think Mikel Pereira has found his niche at middleweight because it doesn't look like he's gassing as badly, and he's definitely got that power to hurt people in that division. And he's looking unbelievable. He was never a welterweight. Let's be honest with ourselves. The fact that was ever a thing is crazy. Mexican Independence Day, so that's what it is. So that's where the Mexican. I don't know why I thought it was happening in Mexico City. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the Mexican Independence Day thing. But like I said, that being the case, they should do it. Is football coming home this year, or will it come burning down again? It's going to come burning down. They're going to lose to Holland. And even if they somehow squeak by Holland like the little fucking bitches they are, they're going to lose in the final. England suck, bro. I've been saying it for. I stopped believing that it was coming home since I was like 12. I'm not retarded. I know the signs when I see it. I know losers when I see them. I have mirrors. Where do you think Max versus Tapuria happens and Marab versus Sean? Would it be in the Sphere or Utah? It is looking more likely that Max and Tapuria is going to be in Utah, which I think is a big mistake. I don't think you should put a fight of that magnitude in a place where the altitude could become a factor. And it gives Tapuria in particular a ready-made excuse. I don't know. But I would rather see that fight sooner rather than later because it's starting to feel like, even though it's not the case, it is starting to feel like Tapuria is holding up the division a little bit. He needs to have a fight booked soon. Really soon. And I mean, the Sphere, we still don't know what's been booked for the Sphere. We still don't know. We're likely to get O'Malley and Marab, but the way that Sean's talking, that hasn't been sorted out yet. So I don't know. They need something big for that. I mean, they're talking like it's going to be the biggest event of all time again, making that mistake again. Yeah, Jay-Z. If I was Marab, I'd be pushing for that Utah card 100%. I think Marab's going to get chinned out, though, as much as I love him. I've become a very big fan of Marab. I want to rub chocolate on that forehead and eat it all up, Frankie Tits. Tell your wife to watch out. I'm going to get you. I don't know what to say, man. I don't know what to say. I'll put that out there. I'm worried that Frankie Tits is going to become a thing. I'm not going to lie. It could. I hope it's coming home, but I feel like it's going to be burning down again. Yeah. I don't really care. Like I said, I'm an Irish spy. I don't give a shit. But we can do a Portugal in 2016 and shithouse our way to the win. I mean, we've had the best avenue to get there. We couldn't have asked for a better draw. And Holland are not that good. I just think they're gonna. There's two ways that match could go. Holland could maybe make England look good because they're not as defensively. They don't sit back as well defensively, so maybe that could be a thing. But England just have a loser mentality, and I don't think they're ever going to get over that. England shithousing our way through, like 45-year-old Arlovski shithousing his way through decision wins at the end of his career. It could happen. It could happen. Frankie's been giving up hope that it's coming home since 1970. Pretty much, bro. I mean, I still wasn't swimming around in my dad's ball bag at that stage, but you're not far wrong. Did you see Aljo called out Lopez? I did see that. I don't hate it. I don't hate it as a fight. I think Aljo would probably win, though. I would pick Aljo to win that fight, funnily enough. I think Aljo would beat Lopez. Cold up. Judo is a very good thing to get into. I did judo as a kid, and it's very good for balance. I'll put it that way. It's a good base for balance before you get kids involved in other things. I think wrestlers and strikers could benefit a lot more from taking judo classes because the way that they teach you to put people off balance. And I think things like hip tosses and trips and sweeps are not utilized in MMA enough. Like we don't see it from MMA fighters that often. And I think if they adopted more of a judo background, that could help with that. Like Piotr Jan is somebody who's a good example of that. He's not credited for having a judo background, but he clearly adopts judo practices into his game that work really well with those trips. And I think, again, having the ability to apply in hip tosses and get people down that way would be very useful for some MMA fighters. Because I think double legs are getting harder and harder to execute because people just sprawl really well now. If you practice sprawling and grabbing a hand, you can negate a lot of wrestling situations now, which is why I think wrestling is slowly dying as like a main base for MMA. I think judo could really help bridge that gap because it's very, very hard to prevent trips that are well-timed and sweeps that are well-timed and hip tosses that are well-timed. I think they could be potentially more useful in MMA going forward than double legs. And again, when you hip toss somebody's ass to the ground, there's that shock factor of the way that people land when they get hip tossed. It's as effective as getting a knockdown as hitting someone and getting a knockdown. Because then you catch somebody unawares and you flip them on their back like that, it's a fucking shock to the system. I can tell you that. I think they will beat mid Holland but shit the bed in the final. That's what I'm thinking. The Holland match is a coin toss. I can see that one going to penalties. Making a walk MMA, Suarez is at 115 pounds, which is crazy to me. I'm amazed that she can make that weight with how she is as manly as it gets. I imagine that whenever what's his name? Oh, fucking hell. What's his fucking name? What's Suarez's husband's name? Or soon to be husband? Patchy Mix. I imagine every time he nuts in there, he has that post-nut gay feeling that he has. Like, you know when dudes fuck ladyboys and then they're like, it looks like a girl, and then they nut and then they're like, oh man, I'm gay. I reckon he gets that every night after he rolls off Tatiana Suarez. Just my opinion. That is not a conventional female. She's borderline dude levels, to be honest. Patchy Mix. Yeah, I got there in the end. My brain eventually caught up. Al Hassan has judo and never uses it in the UFC. I'm surprised, as I just went on that rant about, I'm surprised that more people don't. I'm surprised. Yeah, judo is good to learn at a young age for sure, specifically if you're a grappler. It helped me a lot for tournaments. That's what I'm saying. They don't teach good sweeps or good enough sweeps and stuff in wrestling. They don't. It's all about, leaning your way in, crotch grabbing, and how you enter. Another gay comment to clip up. Yeah, man. So I think sweeps and hip tosses and stuff could be far better utilized in MMA. I always get her weight class mixed up. Yeah, I'm not surprised because she's a big dude and she is a fucking dude. It's a miracle that she makes 115. She should be fighting at flyweight. And I think that's why she struggles to fight so often, because I imagine those weight cuts ain't fun. Diego Sanchez banged the ladyboy after tough and it traumatized him. Is that a true story? It's good to try martial arts and see which one is best for self-defense. I mean, again, it depends on where you're planning on using it. I think taking a martial art, I think certainly if you're a parent, getting your child to do mixed martial arts is a good idea just because of the discipline involved. Frankie has had a lot of those post-nut clarity when visiting Thailand. I'm not going to comment on that or deny it. I don't think I can deny it. In reality, I've never really had any interactions any sexual interactions with ladyboys, but I've had a few close moments. I'm not gonna lie. There have been a few where I'm like, there's something amiss here. And fortunately, my sober brain has kicked in at the right moments. Certainly when out and about. But as I've said previously in the past, you are retarded. If you're smashing ladyboys, there's a part of you that knows that they're a ladyboy, and you're just going, yeah, I'll just take it. Like, I firmly believe that because it's fucking obvious, dude. She tricked him and then stole his wallet and phone, etc. It's kind of messed up. He spoke about how it fucked him up. So was he traumatized by his wallet getting stolen or being fucked in the ass? Like, which one was it? It was probably the wallet stolen, wasn't it? Diego Sanchez is definitely a zesty individual. I mean, he was definitely convinced by Joshua Fabia to suck him off, and it wasn't gay. It was just no, bro, this is how we're gonna get your chi, and then it's gonna make you a goat, bro. It's gonna make you a goat. And now that he's been separated from him for a little while, I've said this in the past, he's having those flashbacks of Fabia's dick in his mouth, and he's freaking out right about now. It is a true story about Diego. Josh Fabia sent me all the secret videos, and Diego tells the whole story on film. Bro, it is what it is. There was definitely some fruity goings on. No doubt. No doubt. Dumb question, but who wins in a street fight? Brian Ortega or Tracy Cortez? I'd let her get me in a few positions, I'll put it that way. I'd deliberately let her get me into a triangle choke and when she's trying to pull away, I'd be like, no, continue. That's how I'd be dealing with that. Tracy Cortez is I wouldn't go as far as to say S tier, but she's definitely an A tier women's MMA fighter in terms of looks, and she's not a bad fighter as well. To be fair to her, she's legit. She's definitely improved. Fabio extorted Diego for 100K. He definitely is a gay sex. 100%. There's no doubt. This isn't even debatable anymore. This isn't even debatable. Diego is not a smart man. And my belief is that he did gay shit thinking it was for the greater good. And that he was probably convinced into thinking it wasn't gay. I genuinely believe that. Why did Fug Rose go bald? The thing is, yeah, I'm not going to get into the whole is Fug Rose hot situation because she's obviously not, but she seems like somebody who's had a lot of trauma in her life. She's definitely bipolar to some extent, I would say. I know plenty of females who have shaved their head during manic episodes. She looks like a 12-year-old boy, and that troubles me. That definitely troubles me. It definitely takes the sting off a potential wank fest for the main event on the weekend. Because I think Rose is going to ruin that experience for me. And women never really look good in their UFC attire as good as they look on the streets. So there is that issue as well. And brutal, legit isn't lying. Definitely not. A lot of dudes that smash ladyboys are gay but don't want to admit it, so they just go half-ass with chicks with dicks for cope until they're out of the closet like Diego. Yeah, it's yeah. Yeah. I think like it's a very clear cut situation for me. I know some people feel differently, but I think if there's a dick in the mix, it's just gay, regardless of what hole you're smashing or whatever you're tucking away, or however much they might look like a female. That's just how I feel about it. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, yeah, I don't judge any. I think basically whatever you're sticking your dick in, yeah, you should just own it. We live in an era now where anything is acceptable. If you like to, use the back door more often than the main door, just embrace it, dude. Just embrace it. Accept it. That's all it is. Fabia is a predator, pure cult leader vibes. Bro, the thing is, yeah, the fact that you let a guy like that into your inner circle is a problem within itself. But Diego Sanchez is a very vulnerable individual. Like, Fabio wouldn't have gotten away with that with anybody who had half a brain cell left. So I sympathize, but at the same time, I'm like, you're a grown ass man, dog. The signs were there. Totally eat my way out of a Tracy Cortez triangle choke. That's what I'd be doing. That would be my defense to it. I'd just be munching away and hoping it never ended. I'd insist on that one being like a 1 round unlimited time limit situation for sure. I don't get why Rose moved up to 125. She has 2 wins over Whaley. I think she didn't want any of her. I think she didn't want to run that back, in my opinion. And also, she was struggling to make the weight a little bit. I think that decision was made long before Whaley got the belt back. What the fuck did I just slide back into? You slide. Don't act surprised. You slid into the norm on this channel. At least we still kept it MMA. At least we've kept it MMA. Me and Fabi are bros now. Brutaly's definitely got some inner circles that we don't know about for sure. We're still campaigning for that influencer fight for you, though, by the way, bro. We have to keep pushing that narrative. Rose has been slacking in her recent fights, but struggled with Rebus. Do you think she will be done soon? I have a feeling Cortez might beat her. Rose is definitely on the way out. That Rebus fight was horrific. Horrific. By the way, Antoine, remind me to get that clip done. I'm going to have a look for it tonight, maybe, and I'll send you the details. Because we did it. We collectively had a very funny take on the whole Rose situation that we need to make into a short, because that shit was incredible. It's one of the funniest things I've ever said on it, and I don't really say too many funny things, but like that was up there. That was S tier comedy from me. Should out Scotland. Cortez via first round Tufa. I think it will go to a decision. Possibly. If somehow Cortez beats, I think if Cortez somehow stops Rose, that would be the biggest shock of all, because I think she's had 5 decisions in the UFC so far. I think Suarez beats Whaley. I think so too. She's too big, man. It's a man versus a woman. Of course she's going to win. Whaley did not look too great in her last fight. She didn't, but she was fighting somebody who was far rangier than she was. And I think that was a factor. She's got mad paper as well, so there's that issue. Brutally versus MMA Joey. Brutally by, I think he could get that done in the first. I think he could break the UFC stoppage. I think he could do it quicker than Masvidal did it to Ben Askren. I think Joey wouldn't make it across the octagon before collapsing in a heap. I think he'd literally die from he'd collapse from putting one foot in front of the other. I think that's what it would happen. It would be the quickest exhaustion based KO. Fat fuck. Frankie, what's your favorite animal? A wolf, sir. I have one tattooed on my arm, and it's why I like what do you call it, Siberian Huskies. Yes, sir. Send it to me and I'll clip it up. I'll do that tonight for sure. When you come to Miami, I'll show you hot girls. What kind of girls are you talking about? Be very specific here, because I'll be booking that flight tonight if you can convince me of what's available. Put it that way. Yo, I left raid me when you done, Chavi. I'm gonna do a tier list stream. Love you, dickhead. I love you too, bro. I will send a raid over. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be here. Probably another hour or so, possibly. I got like a really good sleep in today, so I should be able to hang on for quite a bit. Hey, what do you think about Joshua Van and his potential? I think he's got enormous potential. It's a tough fight for him on the weekend, though. Very tough fight for him. Inner G is a tough fight for anybody, so he needs to get through that. But Latinas, Frankie only likes Asians, though. I'd be willing to make an exception. MMA YouTube meet up in Miami. If it's going to be anywhere, it should be in Miami. It should be. I think we could convince everyone to go there, because I cannot convince anyone to come to the UK for that shit. I think we definitely need to do that. Yeah. I'm down for a Miami hookup, 100%. And the Latinas thing has definitely got my it's definitely got my curiosity tingled for sure. Cuban Puerto Ricans plus good food. You've got it. I'm down. How you doing, Patrick? Farting my ass off. You see, there are ways to enter the stream, and then there's ways to enter the stream. And Patrick's just nailed it. Wolves are dope, but big cats though. I don't know what it is with wolves, man. I just think they're pretty animals, and I like the fact that they work in a team. I love that. I love animals that hunt together. That's goated shit to me, rather than selfish pricks that eat for themselves. I just appreciate that, and I just think they're beautiful animals as well. There's no Hispanics in the UK. Nah. Hispanic women are very, very hard to come by in the UK. I'll be honest. We do not have the climate that attracts that type of talent. Smelly fingers. Fucking hell, bro. I haven't seen you for a hot minute. I thought you were dead. How you doing, bro? Or in jail. You know, a Cubano will change your life. I gotta admit, man, you guys have won me over. How do they feel about pasty looking white dudes though that are like not technically midgets, but not that far off it. Like, I'm only 5'8", so. Have you been to Ipswich where the Go Arnold Allen is from? I have been to Ipswich. I was there the other day actually. My one of my daughters goes to school in Ipswich. I'm not revealing any more than that. It's a shithole. A lot of Japanese and Hispanic people in Florida. I'm not too keen on Japanese clunge, to be honest. Of all the Asians, they're probably lower down the list for me just because they're a bit weird. Who's more likely to poison your food, Colby or Ian Gary's wife? That's a female move. Yeah, like the stream, my boys. By the way, we'll do a contenders and frauds on the Making the Walk live chat tomorrow. We are going live on Making the Walk's channel. It's not going to be on Frankie and Jax as far as I know. It's just going to be on Making the Walk's channel, which hit over 2,000 subscribers recently. So shout out to my boy Making the Walk for cracking that. You've been fucking flying recently. So please subscribe to me so I can like slowly crawl my way towards it. I'm really struggling to get towards that 800 mark for sure. Arnold Allen's dad is cool. I fed marshmallows to alligators on the bay. How did that go for you? Are you like a one-armed bandit now? What time is it where you are now? It's nearly 3 o'clock in the morning. It's getting on a bit. But like I said, I slept for a big majority of the day, so I'm good to go for a little while. I don't know. The Brazilian escorts are getting imported all over. Nah, that works for me. I don't mind. I don't mind getting involved in that particular situation for sure. Who's Let's all go to a Heat game with BBL baddies in Miami. I wouldn't mind hit. Like it is on my list to get like to go to an NBA game because I am an NBA fan. I didn't really watch that much this season because my team suck now, but I am an NBA fan. Um it is definitely a thing. But honestly, we can have an MMA community meetup. I'm deadly serious about that. Mexican men don't exceed 5'7", so you are safe. Fucking sweet. It's getting more and more feasible by the second. Bruv, I'm coming to the UK. We see in Newcastle get smashed by United. No. No, we're not seeing that. We can do anything else apart from that. But I'm definitely down, bro. Damn, bro, respect. Do you need a fishing license in the UK? I think in certain places you do. But people flaunt the rules around here all the time. We don't have as many police around as they do in America, so you can kind of get away with it. Jumping in the river, be right back, be safe, brother. What's better to live in, Birmingham or Liverpool? Ugh. Ugh. It depends. Do you like your shit solid or runny? That's what that comparison feels like. Chris, Newcastle got it. Trust. I'd much rather Newcastle would probably be the choice for me. Birmingham's pretty drab. I'd say Liverpool's thing is there. Liverpool's probably a better city to live in, but then you're much likely to get stabbed in the neck in Liverpool, to be honest. Warriors might get Lowry though. If they get Markin in, I'll be back on board. I think that's what we need. I like the pieces that they've picked up in the off season so far. I think picking up what's his face? Fuck, I forgot his name. That dude from Philly. He's a really good shooter. I forgot his name off the top of my head. I think he's a good pickup. I like Corey Anderson as Kyle Anderson as a pickup, even though the fact that he can't fucking score. I think defensively he could be really, really good for us. And if we could get Markkinen on board as well, I'd say we could be a decent playoff team. But we ain't winning shit. But if we could get back to playoff contention, I'd be back on board. My Chicago Bulls got Giddey and Jalen Smith so far, hoping we do more trades. Yet losing Giddey for fucking hell. The former, my brain's not working today. That former Toronto guy. Fucking hell, my brain's not working. It's not the best situation, but you're clearly on a rebuild. So Buddy Hield. That was it. Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield's a good pickup. And isn't Giddey the one who had like a? Isn't Giddey a diddler, or is that the other guy? Oh no, that was the other guy, wasn't it? No, it was Giddey. I swear Giddey had like a 15-year-old girlfriend or something. It was either Giddey or the other one. I can't remember. The DeMar DeRozan. God damn. And losing Caruso is not the best. Caruso is what I would describe as a win now piece. So losing him probably isn't. It's kind of an indication of where you guys are looking. And obviously you can't clear off Zach LaVine from your that Zach LaVine contract is so terrible. That Zach LaVine contract is awful. He's shit. So the fact that you've got him until 2027 at the very least is a problem for Chicago. You basically need to let that guy. You need to let that guy cook for a season and then try and get rid of him. You need to trick people again into thinking that he's good, so that they'll take that contract from you. Because with him as the centerpiece, Chicago won't go in anywhere. It's a shame as well because DeMar was actually planning on re-signing until you guys got Giddey, which is weird. Josh Giddey is a Dr. Disrespect wannabe. Yeah, the whole thing was a bit bizarre. I don't know the whole situation. By the way, while we've got 28 waiting in here, please like and subscribe. I need to boost those subscribers up. I feel like my life won't be complete until I reach 800 subscribers. I don't know why that number is so important to me, but it's suddenly become a thing. So if you could like and subscribe, and I don't know if ITP is still live. I think he must be on a long one today. I think ITP is still cooking, right? Or did he go off already? He's gone off already. Yeah, if you could like and subscribe, that would be very much appreciated. Especially as I'm here until goddamn the wee hours of the morning for you motherfuckers. I'd appreciate it. Do you have any pets? A dog or a cat, maybe? I don't have any pets. I don't like having stinky animals in my house. I've got a really nice house and I don't want fucking hair all over the place. So fuck that. The problem is, I know that one day my son is probably going to ask for an animal, and I have a very hard time saying no to him. So I'm hoping when he does request an animal, it's something that we can keep in some kind of box / cage situation / terrarium situation. Dr. Evil El Duro. Sweet. If you don't like or subscribe, you're gay. I'm going to run with that. I'm going to run with that narrative. And if you like that kind of thing, if you don't like and subscribe, you aren't gay. So whichever works in your situation. I want to make those paradox alts get you to 800. I'm kind of, I want genuine subscribers in here as much as possible. So as beautiful as it is for people to put their alts up in here, I do want to I'd rather genuinely grow slowly than grow quickly and it just be like, is what it is. You know? A gerbil. I had a few hamsters in my day. They'd always escape though. We never found their corpses, which was a bit strange. Teams are going to tank for Cooper Flag and Ace Bailey. I don't really watch a lot of college basketball, but I'm assuming they might. This college class felt pretty shit to me. I didn't feel like there were many good pickups. So if you can get some weed, then I'll come to the UK. I can get some weed, but I can't promise you it'll be that good. Laugh my ass off. Damn, it shuts down my next question. You can ask it anyway. Same here. I don't like pets inside my house now. The thing is, like, I've got a child, so I don't really need the responsibility of a pet on top of that. Cats are clean. Yeah, they are, but like they shed hair though a bit, don't they? Get a python. That's a brilliant idea with a 3-year-old in the house. Especially a 3-year-old that doesn't listen to me and pretty much opens up everything and does whatever the fuck he wants. I don't see that going well. Frankie looks like a snake pet kind of guy. That does say a lot about me, to be fair. Angie, don't get on Chris's side. You're supposed to be on my side. Don't laugh at Chris. Don't encourage him. I was going to ask what you would do for animals, pets. What do you mean do for? That sounds like a very cryptic question. Kickboxing versus Muay Thai, who wins? They're very similar to me. They're very similar to me. I would probably go with Muay Thai just because of the sweeps. The fact that it's a bit more diverse, I find Muay Thai is. Just from my experience. The Bulls drafted Matas Buzelis. Wonder how good he will be considering he was in the G League. He looks fairly decent. He looks a little bit more NBA ready than some of the other NBA prospects. I think that college basketball, the fact that in the last 2 drafts we've had people that either have G League experience or have been active in different, actual leagues that matter says a lot. I think that's going to become more of a trend over the next few years. I think having a situation where you're more focused on like the actual sport you're going to be entering into is going to be a thing. How far is too far? Would you go John Wick for your little buddy if you had one? I wouldn't. I'd take a shower and then I'd forget about it, to be honest. That's actually a lie because I did have a dog back in the day and I really loved my dog, but he was an American pit bull and he was so much work to deal with. Like he was a lot to deal with. I basically took him from a guy who was beating him. Well, I say I took him. My cousin basically just My cousin really loves dogs, and he saw this dude beating the shit out of a little puppy. It was an American pit bull, and he basically knocked the guy out and took his dog, and then wouldn't look after him and brought him round to my house. And I ended up having the dog for like a year and a half, but the dog was like mentally traumatized. And eventually he ended up biting one of my neighbors, and I had to give him to somebody else to prevent him from being put down. So I haven't had any animals since, but I loved that dog. That dog was loyal as fuck. He used to sit by the door waiting for me to come back from work, and that's why I felt kind of bad about it, because I felt guilty leaving him at home all day. Sorry, that was quite the tangent. Fish tanks are probably the cleanest for your house. A bit spendy though. I wouldn't mind getting some exotic fish. I don't want to say shit about you. I just keep it to myself. I appreciate that, Angie. I do appreciate that. I had a sea monkey as a kid. They were so lame. Yeah, I think getting a sea monkey is the lamest thing you can put in a fish tank, to be honest. Just get a snapping turtle. They're fun. How do we get to pets? Then again, rich tanks don't really come with vet bills. For sure, son. How does UFC KFC taste? Do you mean UK KFC? UK KFC is fine, if that's what you meant. I don't mind it. I think it's all right. It's got a little bit too powdery for my taste. I think they use too much of that white powdery shit these days. So it's a bit more starchy. But UK KFC is fine. It's not bad. I never eat it these days because I literally feel like scum after I finished a KFC meal. I eat fast food all the time. Or not all the time, sometimes. And I feel way more scummy after I've eaten KFC than if I'd eat, say, McDonald's, for example. And I do feel pretty scummy after eating McDonald's. But KFC just feels like another level of scum. I can actually feel the fat growing on me. So I'm like, I'm not like a big fast food guy anymore. It's usually just on a rare occasion when I can't be fucked. My parents have a ton of pets. What kind of pets are we talking about? That dog is still waiting for you somewhere. No, he's genuinely living on a farm now with a friend of mine. And he's calmed down quite a bit. I do get like regular updates. So don't kill yourself if your fish gets sick, lol, and you take it to the vet. That is the most expensive pet you'll have. Yeah, I imagine like, because with fish, it's like, how much can you do? You know? That must be a very hard diagnostic situation. We got to figure out what UFC card you're going to go to in the US. 100%. I'd prefer to go to a numbered card if possible, but it might just be more feasible to go to just a fight night and just pick somewhere. I think going to I think there's going to be a Miami card next year, from what people have been telling me. So perhaps that might be the one, because Miami does sound like the destination we do need to arrange something. I'll put it that way. Don't get yourself fish vet bills. I just let them die. I'll be honest. Fish are the kind of things where you let them have the run that they're gonna have, and then you just bury the fuckers and move on. No worries, Coldar. I got you in the end. They have 5 dogs and 6 cats, but the cats are outside cats. That's the thing. I don't really like the idea of cats going out and doing God knows what and then coming back into the house. Yeah, Angie, you and I were talking about the food situation, about the diet situation. I've explained this to you in the past. Like, I have a very weird. I'm pretty sure I've got body dysmorphia, because, and Anton knows a little bit about this as well. I go through phases where I'll do fasting and I'll do like the water diets and stuff like that, and I'll shed a lot of weight because I want to be more like shredded. And then I'll get shredded and I'll be like, shit, I'm too small. I need to get thicker again. And then I'll start like pounding on the pounds and doing more weightlifting and shit like that. And then I'll get bigger, and then I'll be like, shit, I'm too big again. And I'll just go through cycles like that. It's an issue. But junk food is definitely not the way to go, because that shit sticks like nothing else. My friend has 5 cats. One time I went over there and got high as fuck and put them all on me at the same time. It was amazing. put them all on you. You're gonna have to clarify what you mean by that, because that sounds doesn't even sound zesty. It sounds disgusting, to be honest. Woohoo! Rose versus Tracy. What a banger! What a banger indeed. We do have Dober versus Gene Silver, and we do have a couple of other fights on that card that actually might make it worth watching. So I'm not as angry about it as I previously was. What's the fastest way to lose some belly fat? Water fast. It's water. The thing is, yes, smelly fingers. Who would have known that not eating for an extended period of time and drinking water would make you lose weight? It's a fucking miracle. Of course it works. I literally lost like 14 kilograms in 10 days. I did like a 10-day water fast where I did on the 5th day I allowed myself to have a bowl of noodles. And yeah, I shed 14 kilograms. I went from like 74 kgs to just over 60. But 60 is not, because I'm 5'8", so 60 is way too. I overcooked it, definitely. But I kind of wanted to keep it going because I was able to not eat. So I was like, I don't know if I'm. And I've tried to do water fast since then. And I literally get like a day or two in and I feel like my head is going to explode. So it's a tough one to do. You've got to do it the right way. Do you exercise while you fast? I have done. I've been like religiously doing push-ups, a certain set amount of push-up sets every day for the last 5 years. So I literally depend on doing push-ups, and I do occasionally do like bar curls. But not that much because I've got like dodgy joints. So like the jerking part of it and the jerking off that I do regularly in life don't help with that. So eat a bunch of laxatives, that does the trick. That could be a fast track way. You drink just tap water, bottled water, or sprinkling water. And I drink Fiji water and this Icelandic stuff as well. So I'm a bottled water kind of guy. You can't drink tap your water in the UK. It's fucked up. I tried intermittent fasting. It didn't really work for me. I think the reason why no diet fad has ever caught on universally is because everyone's way of dieting is different. How many push-ups do you do? I do 500 a day. I do 500 push-ups a day. Intermittent fasting just hasn't worked for me. I can see why it does work for certain people. And in terms of the way that metabolism works, it makes sense to eat during certain windows of the day. Because basically, as soon as you drink or eat something, that's when your metabolic system kicks in. And I think it only runs for about 8 hours a day. So the concept of eating within that window, Angie was telling me as well, like one thing that people do that they shouldn't do is you shouldn't eat more than like 4 hours before you're going to sleep. That's another thing. That should be like the bare, like, you shouldn't be eating 4 hours before you go to bed. That should be the cutoff point, 4 hours. I found that definitely helps me. But it's like that saying goes, you are what you eat. How many push-ups do you do in a set? So I do sets of 40. And I do them at different increments. So I usually start with like a wide set. Then I move to like the inner triangle set that does like the tries and then I do like inside push-ups. You have to have some tits on you, mate. I've got decent titties. I'm not gonna lie. I've got decent titties and decent shoulders. And the thing is, yeah, I've been riding on my leg game because I don't do leg workouts enough as I should. Like I try and do walks a lot and try to jog as much as I can, but like I've basically been riding off like a childhood where I was running 7-8 hours a day playing football. So I've kind of retained decent enough legs from that. But I definitely need to do something about the pancake ass because I've got no bunda whatsoever. And I don't really care that I don't. But yeah, push-ups have been my go-to. Like I just find it's the most, because like I do have like a gym situation downstairs. I've got like a treadmill, like a proper gym treadmill, and I've got a few different like weights, and I don't have a weights bench, which I should get. That would probably help. But push-ups are just so easy to do. I've got one of those boards, and I just, because I can easily do them in between like if I'm looking after my son or whatever, I can do them when he's around, and it doesn't really interfere with my schedule. I heard it, if you're going to fast, you have to have a little bit of salt with your water here and there. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I've heard conflicting things. I put it that way, because you don't want to have just salt and fluid going through your body. I don't imagine it's too great for your liver. But again, it depends on the person. I've tried fasting before, but I'm not doing it anymore, as I only need to be toned specifically to my abs. Yeah. That's the thing. It all depends on what body type you're going for and what works for you. And the issue for me is, like I said, that I very often change what my goals are, and I think it's just to motivate myself. Because I'll reach a point where I'm like, yeah, like I've reached the level that I want to reach at, but then it becomes like, oh well, I then get lazy doing other aspects of working out that I shouldn't. So it does very much it's about setting goals, I guess. And for me, I kind of like I wouldn't say I've got completely zero arse, but it's definitely my worst feature. 100%. Paradox is live as fuck. Paradox, what are you streaming right now? Are you doing an Elden Ring stream or a UFC 4 stream? I'm preferring your Elden Ring ones, to be honest. I think you've motivated me to jump on that game. I'm definitely gonna, in the next couple of days, I'm definitely gonna try and find some time to stick it on and give it a go. I'm gonna give it a chance. That's funny. I got a butt to make a black woman jealous from climbing, but I seriously need to do more push-ups. Yeah, the push-ups thing for me is just because I'm more focused on like the upper part of my body than the lower part. I tend to just find it more important. I don't know why. I've never been too concerned with like my leg game or my arse game. I don't work out for the females. I work out for myself. I need the things that I want to look good for me. Because I'm basically homo for myself. I think we all are secretly. But now the push-ups thing is definitely a good way to go, because you can measure how you're incrementally improving as well. Like there was a stage where I could literally do 120 push-ups in a row. I've got nowhere near. I can do like the maximum I can do in one set in a row. I could push 55, 60 genuine push-ups. But that's about the limit of it. Because I was much lighter when I first, like I used to walk around at like 62, 63 kilograms. I was very slim. So it was much easier for me to handle my own weight. But now that I'm kind of around the 70 kilogram mark, it's much tougher. But you get much more of a like extensive workout doing it like that. Favorite British dessert? I like me an Eton mess and banoffee pie. My favorite, I don't know if it's considered British, but my go-to dessert is I like the hot cold combination. So like sticky toffee pudding and ice cream. So like hot sticky toffee pudding and ice cream is my go-to. I just think that fucking hot and cold sensation at the same time. We've talked about it before. It's like when you have it's like how salty and sweet somehow works together. There's just something about that hot cold combination that really does it for me. I don't know what it is. The push-ups help a ton. Easy to hit at any time, and you can do different variations to hit different areas. 100%. It's like what I said. When you become a father, you have to kind of work your routine, your workout routine into your daily life. So like I get my cardio from like I take my son out every day, because I don't know if I've mentioned it to some of you, but I've got like a really massive lake outside my house, and it's kind of nice to walk and run around. So usually I take my son out on like his bike or his like scooter, and he'll just like make me chase him around the lake, which again looks really sus. And I've almost got into trouble for it a few times, especially when he starts screaming help to troll me. But that's how I get my cardio in. And then generally when I'm doing stuff with him, like during the day, I can easily just whip the board out and do like and whack a couple of sets out. And it's funny because he tries to mimic me and do them himself, and it's proper funny watching him try and do it. Get you a pull-up bar and superset push-ups. I used to do a lot of pull-ups as well, but my door frames in my house have an issue, and I can hear them. I do have one, but I can hear the door frames creaking, and I'm like, fuck me. Like the worst thing the worst thing I can imagine during a workout is pulling and then the whole door frame collapsing. I don't think it would be good for my ego or the shock to at my age. Heart attacks are a genuine concern. So like I said, when I go out, I want to go out in a blaze of glory, not by pulling myself up and down on a bar and cracking the back of my skull on the floor. Do you like Eccles cakes? I'm not too familiar with them, to be honest. I have had an Eccles cake once or twice, but I wouldn't consider them high on the dessert goat list, to be honest. I'm doing exercise. It helps with my mental health as well as reading. It's the same situation for me. I basically do it just to like ward off the demons. Do you know what I mean? That's definitely why I do them. And reading for me is like genuinely the most therapeutic thing that I do. Like I read every day before bed, and I usually get a good hour in before I sleep. So I'm a very avid reader. So that's a great way of maintaining your mental health for sure. Olympic rings are another good way to hit your upper body. I really do need to get back into a gym situation. I just find going to a gym I'm one of those people who gets very self-conscious inside a gym. Like I don't like, yeah, I kind of know what you meant with the gymnastic rings. I don't like working out in front of people. I get very self-conscious. I was going to a gym when I was working in China, and I used to try and go to the gym at like 3:00 in the morning. Because there was a 24-hour gym near where I lived, and there was this fucking Chinese guy that started turning up and trying to give me pointers in the middle of and this same guy, I swear to God, I was using, what are those machines called where you have like a weights bench and it has, they slide up and down a lot more easier. I can't remember what they're called, and you can slot things in a little bit more easier. There was this Chinese guy that would come in. And at one point, I nearly got into it, and he was fat as fuck. Yeah, so it really pisses me off when a fat, tubby son of a bitch tries to give you pointers. But this dude, one time I was using the Smith machine. That's the one. So I was using a Smith machine, and during my workout, this guy started adding fucking weights in the middle of me doing my lifts. So I hate it because there's always a cunt in the gym. First of all, that's dangerous. But second of all, like, there's always a cunt in the gym that thinks he can teach you something. And it just pisses me off. It's like, you do your thing, let me do my thing. I don't want to have conversations in the gym. I just want to go there, do my thing, and leave. I don't want to be standing around in between places and having conversations at the wall. I just want to get in there and get my shit done and leave. I don't want pointers. I don't want help. Leave me alone. I'm good. So yeah, that's why I'm put off gyms. Have you ever read Harry Potter? I certainly have, sir. I've read all 7 of them. They are good reads, to be fair. That might cause some more unsubscriptions, but it's the truth. I've read all 7 of them. I used to be an elementary school teacher, so it was within my interest to be up to date on. I've read all those I'm more of a fantasy book reader and a fiction book reader than I don't read non-fiction books anymore. I'm just not big on them. That would have been a fight in the gym that day, bruv. I lost my fucking shit. Like, and rightfully so. We had to be separated. Do you like Stephen King novels, movies? I do. I'm a big Stephen King fan. Seasons is one of my favorite books, and The Institute's up there as well. I'm reading now Stephen King's book, Holly. I haven't read that one yet. Let me know what it's like. And if it's what Stephen King's always solid. Like terrible Stephen King books don't really exist. Even his worst books are readable. are certainly readable. I just got finished reading American Psycho, which I really enjoyed. The only thing that I found very difficult to read with American Psycho is the overly descriptive, and I know that it's part of what building up the character is, but the over descriptive describing what everyone's wearing kind of grated me by the end of the book. It was like he's wearing a paisley tie with a Gucci handkerchief and Ralph Lauren knitted polo sweater and a Ralph Lauren belt, and I was just like, fucking hell, man! Like, we get it, all right. And it was like consistent throughout every chapter, but like, I definitely recommend it. It was definitely an interesting read. Have you seen Tommy Knockers? If you'd like Stephen King, I haven't. I'm always down for book recommendations. Shotgun, you recommended Jurassic Park to me before. Shawshank Redemption's an interesting one because it's actually only a Stephen King short. I think it's on Seasons, and it was only a short story, but it's. I'm gonna buy Jurassic Park right now because you did recommend it to me before. Bookstore. I'm gonna do that right now. Right now, I say, by cracky. So where's the fucking search? Search. There we go. Jurassic Park. There we go. Do you recommend it? Yeah. Yeah, I'm not reading I'm not getting the audio book. If you recommend it to me right now, I would. You know, I'll get it. It's only $5. I've heard The Lost World is better though. I've heard The Lost World is a better. So do you know what? I'll buy The Lost World as well. Apologies if I've missed out on a few of the chats. So there we go. I've bought Jurassic Park and Lost World, and I'll get started on that one tomorrow. I'm still in the middle of another book, but it's kind of one of those page turners, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to be through that very soon. Have you read any Cormac McCarthy before? I have not. Is there anything from him you can recommend? I'll be honest with you. This is going to sound really fucked up. The Folio Society, I've heard of Blood Meridian. If you can give me a solid Cormac McCarthy read that you could recommend, preferably at the beginning of a series, and I'll go for that. Is Blood Meridian Meridian a standalone, or is it Ragnar? Hello, what's this channel about? Pretty much everything, Ragnar. Welcome to the stream. We mainly talk about MMA in here, but sometimes things go wildly off topic. Anything from fiction books to people's buttholes. You get pretty much everything in here. Blood Meridian. Right now we're talking about books. Fiction books. Blood Meridian. Here we go. Is Blood Meridian the first one in a series? Because obviously I don't want to read anything where it's like... All right, Blood Meridian. I'm going to buy this as well. I'll add that to the list. At $6, you cannot go wrong. I have read No Country for Old Men. I'm going to get No Country for Old Men as well. Nice to have you here, though, Ragnar. Appreciate you. Basically, Ragnar, you can bring up any fucking shit you want and we'll talk about it. That's just how things roll in here. And if you could subscribe to the channel, I'll love you long time. No Country for Old Men. Let's pop that on there as well. And let's pop that on there as well. All right. That's $20 well spent, methinks. They're all standalone novels. That works for me. Masvidal got robbed in the Nate Diaz boxing match. I don't know, man. I thought he won. I thought Diaz won. I thought the old Jorge definitely landed the better strikes, but at the same time, he was shelling up too much, and he just gave across a very bad vibes in some of those rounds. But as I said, it was one of those boxing fights where if any one of them had got the decision, or even if it had been a draw, I'd have been like, all right. It was a hard fight to score. It was a hard fight to score because it was a little bit. Let's face it, it wasn't the most technically brilliant fight, and nobody got really, really badly hurt throughout the contest. So it's kind of difficult to It was kind of a difficult one to score, and the fact that it was in California probably didn't help out. Probably didn't help out. Old George. See, Ragnar, you're gonna get nothing but love in here. Nothing but love up in here, and we do live streams pretty much every day. It's pretty much become like a therapy channel as well. We've covered pretty much everything in here, and Ragnar is a fucking dope ass name as well. What does Phantom Tax mean? I'm hitting my kid with my belt until he tells me, and he won't budge, but he doesn't know. But bullshit. Oh my god. I'm amazed any society would let you have children. And I mean, I'm not saying I know you that intimately, but based on what you've said in some of these, you've managed to shock me in some of these live streams, which is very fucking difficult to do, I have to say. I didn't think anyone could come out with stuff that would genuinely make me pause, but you've pulled it off a few times, sir. So you deserve an award just for that. Ragnar, is your picture the penguin from Happy Feet? Is that the penguin from Happy Feet? It does look like the penguin from Happy Feet. Blood Meridian is so good. That's going to be the next one on my list. Because to be fair, Jurassic Park is apparently not as good, but apparently it's worth reading so you can get to the Lost World. So I'm gonna do both. I've got like a solid reading list now, man. I'm chuffed. That's what I'm saying. If you guys recommend shit to me, I will read it, or I will watch it, or I will play with it. Oh, why do I always have to go too far? But Blood Meridian's going to be up there. I'm gonna definitely jump on that as well. And I like novels that are based in the 18th century or 19th century. So we'll give that a go. That's so cute. I love the dichotomy between the two things. It's like such a fucking Chad name, like Ragnar, and then he's got the cute penguin as the profile pic. That's sweet. Yeah. Ragnar, what part of the world are you from, sir? I hope you're gonna say you're a Danish fucking Viking. That would be sweet. We need some more Scandinavians up in here. We got like a really good we got like a Norwegian dude in the chat the other day, and he was very entertaining. So you need to watch the movie Beekeeper. Since I made my husband, he made me watch that movie. It's pretty good. Beekeeper was fairly recent, right? That's like a movie from the last like year or so. If you're recommending it to me, Crystal, I will do it for you. I will watch it. Thanks. I love Happy Feet. I've never seen it. Oh, you're a Spaniard. Oh, Spanish. That will do. That will do, sir. One of my best friends on the planet is Spanish. A dude named Jose. I went to go see him in Thailand recently, and he was literally fucking slinging dick like nobody I've ever seen. He was like a pig in shit, sir. Shout out to my boy Jose. Absolute legend of the game. Parents from Barcelona. I think he's from Cadiz. I think he's from Cadiz. I'm fairly sure, but he supports Real Madrid for some reason. I mean, he supports both teams, but he definitely loves Real. Fucking traitor. Beekeeper was solid. All right, I'll give it a go. I will give it a go. Who's in it? I'll give Beekeeper a throw. Are you gonna watch Longlegs when it comes out? Is that a horror? Excuse me, sorry. Is that a horror movie? If so, probably not, because I'm a gigantic pussy. Longlegs. Yeah, I'm gonna give that a miss. I'm gonna give that a miss. Is it purely horror, or is it more kind of, or is there more? Oh, Nicolas Cage is in it. I might have to watch this one. See, it's a horror thriller. I could go for that. I don't go for pure horrors because, like I said, I'm a massive pussy. When's it coming out? In pursuit of a serial killer, an FBI agent uncovers a series of occult clues that she must solve to end this terrifying killing spree. It sounds like a True Detective type situation, so I'll give that a go. And I'm always down for a little bit of Nicolas Cage. I already watched that movie. Angie, what did you think of it? The film stars Jason Statham, Emily Raver Hempman. I knew Jason Statham was in it. Josh Hutcherson, Bobby Nadiri, Felicia Rashad, Gemma Redgrave, and Jeremy Irons is my boy. Yeah, I know you're talking about Beekeeper. Because I saw it on my perfectly legal memory stick thing that I've got, Amazon Fire Stick thing that I've got. Perfectly legal. It's perfectly legal. I'll give Beekeeper a shot, and I will watch Longlegs because I feel like it might be right up my alley. Potentially, like I said, I'm not really into pure horrors, but if there's a bit more of a thriller element to it, I'm all for that. I'm down for that. So I'll stick Beekeeper on the list. I'll try and find some time to watch that tomorrow, so I can give you like an honest. I might even watch it tonight because I've slept like I spent a great majority of the day sleeping. Like I basically follow my son's sleeping schedule, and he was like, "We're going to sleep now," and I was like, "All right, son, let's do it." Little legend. So yeah, we'll do Beekeeper. Beekeeper is free on Amazon right now. Huh. Okay. I'm down for that. Barcelona is a really nice place, a really nice city. It's one of my favorite cities to visit. Like I love the Gaudi vibe they've got going on, and it was the one time where I've seen architecture and been like, because like I said, I'm not a very cultured person, but it's the one time when I saw architecture and culture, and I was like, you know what, I fucking get it. And La Familia was one of the highlights of going there. I just think it's a beautiful place to visit. Okay, bro, I'm going to go now. I subscribe, so we'll join the next one. W stream, W chat. Peace, everyone. Thanks for welcoming me. Great to have you here, Ragnar, and looking forward to seeing you in future, bro. Have a great rest of your whatever's left of your Sunday, bro. Thanks for stopping by. Nicolas Cage has been in some really great movies these past few years. Yeah, he seems to be pulling it back to he really seems to be pulling things back. Like he's getting some of his credibility back. I thought he was cooked for a little while there, but I've definitely got a soft spot for Nick. I think he's a fucking legend. And I think he gets a lot of shit for not being as good of an actor as he is, because he has been outshone in some of his roles. Like he was outshone a little bit in Face Off, but they were both amazing. So seemed a bit harsh to me. I love me some Nick Cage. Bit of a weirdo, but I'm all good with that. He was also in the film adaptation of Butcher's Crossing, but it was just yeah, I heard that was up for a lot of awards, but I haven't got around to seeing it. It is another one that's on the list for me. It's brutal as fuck. Oh yeah, The Wicker Man. Yeah, The Wicker Man was that was not good. That was not a highlight. The thing is, yeah, Nicolas Cage has a habit of being in bad films that are like fun to watch because they're bad. The Wicker Man wasn't one of them. The Wicker Man was just bad. The original Wicker Man is great though. Yeah, it was. It was. I didn't see any need to remake it. It was a weird decision. So is it like brutal as fuck as in gory? I can kind of handle those things a little bit better now. I need to remember that I'm not 11 years old anymore. The same 11-year-old that virtually shit his pants when he watched Scream all those years ago. Butcher's Crossing is a great novel as well. Aaron, you're the dude, man. I definitely trust your recommendations for sure. I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place now because I'm gonna get an official contract offer tomorrow from that place in Portugal, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm genuinely confused. Jason Smith, how you doing, my man? Billy Loomis' Scream, played by Skeet Ulrich, was amazing. Billy Loomis' Scream. Hang on a sec. Oh yeah, he was fucking amazing in that. Scream really freaked me out, bro. I haven't really seen Billy Loomis in many things since then. Um, I haven't really because he was really fucking dark in that movie. What else has he been in? I can't think of anything else that you might have been in. By the way, welcome to the stream, Jason Smith. If you could subscribe, that would be fucking legendary if you haven't already. I'm desperately clamoring towards 800 subscribers. I feel like that's going to be the making of this channel when we get to 800. I don't know why. And then I'll be telling you it's 900 until we get to 1,000. You need to read the Space Odyssey series. I've read Space Odyssey. One of my favorite books as well. 2000, do you mean 2001: A Space Odyssey? I wasn't aware that there was a series. I've read the first, or if there is a series, I've read 2001: A Space Odyssey, and it was fantastic. You're in England as well. Whereabouts are you from in England, Jason? As you can tell from my sexy voice, I'm also from England. I read. If we're talking about the same series, which I believe we are, I've read 2001: A Space Odyssey, and it was unreal. I wasn't so much a big fan of the movie. Subscribed already, lad. Good boy. I don't want. Sorry for calling you a boy. That was out of pocket. Good man. Um. Yeah. Newcastle upon Tyne. You fucking legend. I'm a Newcastle supporter. Did you get sent over here by? Did you get sent over here by Tyson? By Tyno by any chance? 2061 and 3001 are air. So basically the first one is one of my favorite books of all time. It's one that I have to get around to reading again. I thought it was incredible. I thought they really fucked up the movie. The Kubrick movie is very, very popular, but I don't think he nailed it personally. That's a movie that I wouldn't mind seeing getting remade because that book is rife for like I think it would make an excellent movie. Very similar to how June did. Like June was one of my favorite books as well. And I think they nailed the movie kind of outside of the pacing a little bit, but I enjoyed the books and the movie, the new ones. Newcastle upon Tyne, you fucking ledge. I'm assuming you're a Newcastle United fan, seeing as you're being in the city. Are you quite optimistic about the new season, sir? And who do you reckon we're going to sign? I love how Angie's giving nice greetings and welcomes to people in the chat. You may be on the route to mod status. The movie's dialogue felt so different compared to the novel. Yeah, I was immediately put off in the opening sequence. You know when they had like the grainy, shitty scene with the monkeys, and I was instantly put off from that moment. So yeah. It didn't encapsulate the emotion that the book was able to show. Not at all. Maybe the casting was to do with it. I think Kubrick was a really amazing director, but like I don't think he was suited to that particular novel. I wasn't happy with the way it went. But we often feel that way between like books and movies. They very rarely live up to it. I'm one of those people, and I think Angie agrees with me. Like books are usually far better than the novel. The only situation where I can think of the reverse off the top of my head is The Godfather. I didn't like the Godfather movie. Yeah, I didn't like the Godfather movie at all. I thought the book was miles better. Fight Club was another example. I thought the Fight Club book was good, but the movie was way better. But there's very few examples of where a movie really outshines a book. The Shawshank Redemption would be another example. Yeah, the thing about Newcastle is on time is basically the entire city is fading. Not many things to do here, just parties night. I mean, depends on how old you are. I guess you can ride that out for a little while. I mean, Newcastle is it's certainly I've only been to Newcastle once. But I had a hell of a time there. And it's definitely I definitely need to get to St. James Park at some point. It's just that I'm a member and I don't like the ballot system they've got going on. I fucking despise it. So I found it very hard to get tickets, and I'm the only other situation. I'm not really willing to pay because I want to be in really good seats, and I don't know if I'm willing to pay $300+ for them. You know, Godfather had some good sex scenes, eh? I don't remember that. I don't recall that, sir. Did you make those up? Is that a porn you were watching? Were you watching The Good Father? And you've mixed those two up. Arthur Clarke and Stanley Kubrick butted heads a lot when it came to both the book and the movie. That does not surprise me. It does come across like that quite strongly. The shit said in that book is wild, bruh. Yeah, it does get graphic. To be fair, it does get graphic. Frankie, after watching The Godfather, at least there's some very bonny lasses here. That's one of the greatest things in the UK. Nice lasses. I was only there for one evening, but I found the Newcastle girls to be a bit gobby, mouthy. But I might have just gone to a bad club because I decided to. I don't know why I thought this, but like I went to like a liquid club in Newcastle, which was probably a really bad choice, and it was fairly dead. So that might have had something to do with it. Hang on a second, Aaron. I'm just going to pull up this because I just realized I'm not on my own YouTube right now, and I can't open it up in Restream. I'm going to check this. I did not care for I'm leaving that up. I'm going to watch that later. I'm going to watch that after I go off stream. Oh, now my fucking chat overlay has disappeared. Fuck me. Let me try and get it back. Oh, there we are. But no, if you're promoting the Newcastle females, that's always a good reason to revisit a place. Aaron, mate, do you mind linking my stream when this ends, mate? No, don't worry, Paradox. I definitely won't forget you. I will send people your way. I'm probably going to stream for about another half an hour or so, maybe maximum. I try not to go too far beyond 3 hours because I do have a life to lead. But and I'm going to jump onto you as well, Paradox, because I'm probably going to be up until the crack of dawn at this stage. I don't see myself sleeping, so I'll jump over there and support you as well. Paradox, how far are you now from the magical 100? You can't be too far off. I really hate having my YouTube stream open in front of me because it's really weird seeing myself. I prefer not to look at myself on camera. Play some dank beats. Paradox is slipping. I'm not down for the dank beats, bro. Because the thing is, yeah, no, I'm not leaving yet. I'm going to be here for like another half an hour, 45 minutes. People complain about not being able to hear me, and I'm still very wary about this copyright infringement issue. 4 more subs. Mate, Paradox is really killing it. I wish I could have got to 100 that fast. The rate that he's going at, he's definitely going to overtake me at some stage. Because my subscribers are kind of slow but steady. Like they're very slow. If you're new here, do give Paradox do you give Paradox a sub? He's grinding like a motherfucker and deserves it. Yeah, I knew you'd agree with that, Angie. Like the books just slap differently. It would have been amazing if Reform UK won, because British, we want proper and great England again, not illegal immigrants, and more jobs to local British, not outsiders. I don't know if the Reform group, the problem with the Reform group is Nigel Farage is a little bit of a sociopath. And while I believe he is saying a lot of things that UK people could definitely get behind, I don't think he's got what it takes to follow through. I don't think any of them do, to be fair. And Nigel Farage was one of the biggest advocates for kind of pushing through this Brexit thing. The dude certainly did really well. I've got to give the guy props. Like, he does say a lot of things that make sense. And like pulling in 4 million plus votes was telling. If we had a different electoral system, he might have got in. Because he was pulling away a lot of conservative votes, but like they weren't pulling in enough to win. The reason why Labour kicked such massive arse in this election is partially down to how well Reform UK's message got across. It is what it is. Is this Man United fan, Angie? It is Chris Gray. It is Chris Gray, and I can assure you one more time that Angie does not have a penis. Angie does not have a penis. I have a shit memory, but if I read a book that's interesting, I'll remember its details a lot. The thing is, Smelly, I'll be real with you, yeah. I don't smelly fingers. I realize, yeah, that two fingers. I realize that a lot of the time when I read for the enjoyment in the moment. I have a very, very bad memory as well. So I usually need to read a book a second time in order to remember the details. Because the first time I just read it for the turn paging element of it, just to enjoy in the moment. But if a book's particularly good and it's had an effect on me, like I'll go back and read it again. Aaron, are you like a science fiction guy? Do you enjoy science fiction at all? Because I've probably got a couple of recommendations for you if you are. There's a lot of books I could recommend to you. We definitely need to get a Discord started. I'm hoping that somebody in the channel who's like an avid subscriber here will be willing to run that shit for me. We definitely need a bad MMA math MMA Discord up and going. We need to get something going for shiz. Jason is screaming in all caps. Jason felt very, very strongly about what he was saying, and I respect that. I don't mind caps in my chat. I don't really mind spamming too much in my chat as long as it's not too fucking excessive. I've read the Ender's Game series. It's one of my favorites. I've got like a vintage copy of that book signed by Orson Scott Carson. Ender's Game is fantastic. And what was the second book called? Shit. I've read that one too. Fuck. I didn't read Zoe's Tale. No, Zoe's Tale was a different series. I didn't read. Oh no, what was it called? Ghosts. Hang on. What was the second Ender's book called? Ender's Game series. It is Zoe's Tale, isn't it? It was one of the books in the Speaker for the Dead. Ender's Exile. So I haven't read Ender's Exile yet. I've read 3 of them. I've read Ender's Game, Speakers for the Dead, and I've read Children of the Mind, I think. I don't know if I've read Xenocide yet, but I am going to. I'm going to get through all of them. Orson Scott Card is fucking exceptional. I love that dude. He's one of my favorite authors. For sure. He's definitely one of my go-tos. I really appreciate the new subscribers, by the way, guys. We're slowly inching our way towards the target. Because I often take like 2 steps forward, then 1 step back. So I'll gain like 3 subscribers and then lose 1. I always find it really cunty when people unsubscribe. It's like, why? Like, I'm not that offensive, am I? It's a free thing you can throw out. Throw a dog a bone. Do you know what I mean? I can put a Discord together for the network of y'all's channels if you want. That would be awesome. People have been calling for a Discord in here now for the last few weeks. Xenocide was the first. So Xenocide might be the one that I read. But Ender's Game and Speaker for the Dead are fucking goated. They are amazing science fiction books. Like, amazing. I've probably read Ender's Game like 3 times. I love that book. Part of me hopes they make it into a TV series because I think it could be really good. But then child actors in it. Child actors are bound to fuck it up. So maybe it's not the best idea. But Ender's Game was definitely one. I love that Mgal swings it back to where the topic should be going. The girls here are just different. Again, man, I've kind of been muted, bro. Let me see what hang on, library. So I just read American Psycho. I'm a big fan of M.W. Craven. If you're like a thriller person, there's a book called The Puppet Show, which is really good. I'm a big Adrian Tchaikovsky fan. The Tiger and the Wolf is one that I finished recently, which is really good. There's a series of those. Ender's Game was already mentioned. Joe Abercrombie is fucking amazing as well. I remember Bean. Yeah, of course I remember Bean. Does Bean? What science fiction's book should I read? I would go for So John Scalzi is another one. There's a book called Old Man's War, which I really enjoyed. So I'll type in Old Man's War is good. The follow-up books aren't as good, but the first 2 were good. So Old Man's War is really good. The We Are Legion series is okay, I guess. But Joe Abercrombie, it's not science fiction, but it's a fiction-based novel, and it's Joe Abercrombie's fucking amazing. There's a book called The Blade Itself. I think it's the first in the series. I think that's the first one. But the guy's name, I'm just going to type this out from here just to make sure I spell it right. Joe Abercrombie is amazing. He did 3 series back to back. 2 trilogies back to back, which are just unbelievable. I got like 2.5, 3 weeks of reading time out of that shit. And I have gone and read back the first trilogy again, and I couldn't recommend it more strongly. Yeah, John Scalzi, I would say Old Man's War is really good as well. I really enjoyed Old Man's War. It's a bit of an easy book to read, but I quite enjoy it for that. Like, it's not complicated. It's an easily digestible read for sure. I'm trying to look through some of my other science fiction stuff here as well. I'm trying to look at science fiction specifically. Oh, what do you call it? The Expanse series is amazing as well. The Expanse books are amazing. So the first one in that series, I believe, is called Leviathan Rising. I might need to double check on that. Leviathan Wakes. They are amazing. Oops. Leviathan Wakes. And that author is also Blake Crouch is pretty good as well. James A. Corey. James A. Corey is amazing as well. This is why we need a goddamn Discord just to keep track of all this shit. And what was the one I just mentioned? God, my brain is like fucking bullshit. Where is it? It might be in my Kindle app. I've got 2 reading apps that I use for some reason. Sorry, excuse me. I've got 2. I'm sure you don't want to hear me sneezing down the mic. Yeah. James A. Corey is goated as well. Amazing. That whole Expanse series is fantastic. Discord created. Let's fucking go. Thanks to that, brother. I really appreciate it. I'm still going to get online at some point and find that Rose clip for you. I think it would be really good to get out there this week. Ugh. It's nice to be able to talk about literature with you guys as well. Like I realize there are a lot of fans in here, people who genuinely enjoy reading, which are very hard to come by these days. People don't read novels anymore. It's kind of a shame. It's kind of a shame. Most people absorb things in different ways now. I still think it's the purest form of entertainment you can enjoy. Being able to sit down with a good book and a nice, with a nice scene behind you. There's nothing I appreciate more, really. But yeah, there's one science fiction series I've definitely forgotten to mention. I mentioned it briefly there, and then where is it? I mean, if you're into fiction in general, there's so many things I can recommend. It's literally endless. Damn it, it's been so long since I've read books. I can't remember the ones I liked. I stopped reading for like 6 years. I stopped reading for 6 years. I don't know why. Maybe it was a time thing. Maybe it was just just too busy. But since I started reading again, I haven't looked back. It's like a necessary part of my day now. I have to read at some point. I feel it's really good for my mental health, as Angie was alluding to. But I'm like I said, I'm literally fiction only. That's all I fuck with, really. And I kind of flip between things. So I'll read like psychological thrillers, I'll read like drama, I'll read like thrillers and science fiction. I kind of switch between few things. Yeah, like I mean, I've always wanted to be part of a book club, and I've never been able to get people to get on board with it because people are just like, "Fuck off, you homo." That's literally the reaction that I get. I would love to have a book that everyone like picks and we read through it and discuss it. It'd be awesome. Let's start a read along stream where I just sit here and go, ahem, and then I do all the voices and everything. I mean, surely I can't get kicked off YouTube for that. I don't think anyone would catch on to that particular scam. We could have like a book night where I just put on loads of spooky voices. Sounds like a separate channel thing. If I start pushing books too hard on this channel, I'm gonna lose half my subscription base. Yeah, give them a go. I definitely because you're quite a sophisticated reader, Aaron. I would say that Old Man's War would probably be a bit too easy for you, but it's just fun. I would definitely recommend if you're a science fiction guy, I would definitely go for Ender's Game first. Ender's Game is really, really, it's really good. It's really good. And I'm gonna and for your I'm gonna have once I finish this current book that I'm reading now, which is a bit of a shitty book to be honest. It's just a bit of like again, it's a page turner. I'm gonna go with Blood Meridian. That's gonna be the next one on my go-to list, and then I'll get through Jurassic Park and The Lost World as well. Because I have read No Country for Old Men, and it was the June first book is one of my favorites as well. But I've said this in the past before. I consider myself to be a sophisticated reader when I want to be, and I found June very, very hard to get into. Like I had to restart it 4 or 5 times, and then suddenly it just clicked, and I couldn't put it down. Start a read along channel, then I definitely need a reason to start reading science fiction again. It's definitely something we could do together for sure. Like I mean, if you guys are serious about wanting to do stuff, you know me, I follow what you guys want. Like I feel like letting the community dictate what goes on in here has become a really big part of my channel now. Just being able to talk about whatever the fuck you guys want to talk about is great, you know? Strictly keeping to MMA all the time is fucking exhausting because sometimes it's just a pain in the ass. But yeah, June was one of my favorites. June's another book that I need to get around to reading again because I remember hitting that sweet spot it must have been about a fifth of the way through, and they're Western. It's like what we were saying, man. There's nothing more satisfying than when you get into a good book and you know that fuck me, this is gonna have my attention for the next 3-4 days or however long it takes to get through when you've got time. Because it's perfect, you know. I prefer reading in between when I'm traveling. The reason why I can't do it these days is because I'm usually traveling with my son, and he doesn't like it when I start reading in the car. So yeah, he doesn't appreciate that much. I'll put it that way. I'm definitely more of a non-fiction book reader. I'm reading Dilla Time right now. Yeah, people tend to fall into those categories. They're either Fiction Friday. That sounds dope. We definitely maybe we can come to an agreement of it somewhere down the line, where I could maybe do like a second stream in an evening for people of those who are interested in talking about this kind of stuff. But like I said, if you hit me up on Twitter, I tell you what, people who are interested in doing a reading club type thing, hit me up on Twitter and we'll make a Twitter group for it and we'll start it there. Because I would genuinely be over the moon because reading is a massive hobby of mine that I don't get to discuss much. Because as I've said, most people think it's a faggy fucking hobby to have. So I would definitely appreciate branching out into something like that. And we could all select a book maybe and just you know, I'm down for that. I don't care how people don't know how much people will come in here and be like, oh, this fag's talking about reading now. I think it's really important. I think it's really, really important. I like listening to non-fiction podcasts, but I prefer fictional books. I'm like that as well. I mean, I got into a stage where I've still got like an Audible membership for some reason. I really do need to cancel that because I don't buy Audible books anymore, or I don't listen to Audible books anymore. There was a time when I did enjoy them, and I'd sometimes when I was too tired, when I was working full time, I wasn't able to read through books as quickly as I was. And because I was reading for my job as well, it was a ball ache. So the audiobooks became more digestible. But Pride and Prejudice, I haven't read Pride and Prejudice, but that's a classic. I've read Great Expectations. There are very few female authors that I've loved over the years. Like Mary Shelley, somebody that I really loved for. I mean, I loved the Frankenstein book, but there are very few female authors that I get in behind, which isn't the best of looks, I must admit. But certainly, modern female authors are very hard to swallow these days because it's all about fucking Mary Sues and women being overly powered, unrealistically overly powered, should I say? You know, where you're reading 3 pages of a woman beating the shit out of 20 guys in a row, and you're just like, stop it. I get female empowerment, but let's not get done with this shit. But Pride and Prejudice is definitely on the list. I'm not sure. There is a possibility that I may have read it and I just don't remember. Because I've read like possibly well over 1,000 books in my lifetime, and that seems to me like one that would definitely have been a go-to. If you want to have some fun, look up the author Charlene Iverson. She's from North Dakota. That's my mum. 1 second. I'm not saying her books or anything, but she's out there somewhere. Hang on a second. Is that genuinely your mum, or are you you don't come across as somebody who trolls much? Charlene Iverson. Is there a book you could necessarily recommend? Like, what would be your go-to recommendation for her? I can't find her on. I've spelled it correctly. I can't find her on. Maybe she's on Kindle. No, that's my mother for real. I was just kidding. I know you're not a Josher. Charlene Iverson. Yeah, she's not popping up on here for some reason. Glass Coffin. So would it be a case of buying like a hardback? Because I'm not seeing an ebook version. Right, I do own a lot of like hardback books, but I tend to only buy stuff that I've already read, and then. Damn, the rain is really coming down now. Fucking beautiful. She's very small time, just so you know. I'll look her up on Amazon and see if I can find her. Would you smash a female orc? Depends how long the dry spell is, to be honest. Like a literal female orc from Lord of the Rings? That would have to be a hell of a... And to be fair, I'm in the longest dry spell of my life right now, so maybe. Charlene Everson. Oh, here we go. Hopefully this is the same Charlene Iverson. She's got... So we've got the Web, Keeper of Dark Spirits, the Badge of Guilt, a God of Gold and Silver. Are any of these ringing a bell? And they are on Kindle, so I might have to go with that. You can get them on Kindle Unlimited, apparently. And I do have a Kindle Unlimited membership. Is that her? Let me type in Glass Coffin. Glass Coffin. Oh, no, is it? No, that's not her. Oh, is it Women in Glass Coffins? Women in Glass Coffins? I will give Women in Glass Coffins a crack. A crackaroony. But let's run a train on an orc in the UK together, bro. Can't wait. Yeah, I'm not one to sign up for Devil's Triangles, and I'm not very much into the cucking situation as well, so I couldn't really do that either. But I'd be happy to wing it. I'd be happy to wingman for it. Fucking hell, let me try that sentence again. I'd be happy to wingman it for you. There we go. I thought you meant a literal orc. So now I've put myself in a very... You've now got me to say on camera that I would consider smashing an orc from Lord of the Rings. That's about as low as it gets, to be honest. So thank you for that. I'm in serious trouble if this channel gets any bigger, because there is going to be an endless supply of ammunition to fire in my direction. I've smashed so much, I think I'd take on an actual dime right now. Sick of it. I don't think I'd take on an actual dime right now. Fair enough, man. Pussy apathy is a real thing. I never thought it would be, but it certainly does arrive. I thought I'd be like 60 when it's set in, and I'd be like, I'm not really on it anymore. When I say I'm on a dry spell, I'm on a self-induced dry spell. It's just that it's not really that important to me anymore. I think most of my bad decisions have come from stuff revolving around that. So I'm trying to be a bit more female orcs. Make sure you smash and like that subscribe button. I'm genuinely chuffed. Like I'm always really happy when if I live stream every day and I get one subscriber extra from that, I consider that a victory. But Antoine, you and I are going to get on doing some topic videos over the next week. I think Thursday was when we talked about doing it. I definitely need to get back on that because that is my bread and butter. And I haven't made topic videos because it's, you can probably appreciate it's very, very hard to get your mind into do topic videos and to edit when you can just jump online like this and just, there's no editing involved here. It's sweet. You just jump on, talk some shit, speak to some world epic people, and then sign off and we're all good. It's so much easier, you know? And I think, like I said, when my son goes to school in September, assuming that I don't take this job in Portugal, there'll be a lot more topic stuff during the day. By the way, while we're here, is there any topics in particular that you guys want to see made into a topic video? This might be a good time to take some requests. If any of you guys are kind of interested in anything MMA related that you want to see made into like a short form video, anything that you want to see discussed, we'd be more than happy to oblige. We're more than happy to steal ideas around here. It's not stealing if you ask nicely. Yeah, Weston's tired of basically being a walking dick. And I can appreciate that. I've had plenty of one-way situations in my time, and they're not the funnest. Women seem to think that it's all like all men out there are just, it's all like a one-way situation for them. Whether or not Frank Tolman should really come back as an MMA fighter, I'd love to see that. Now, if they're talking about Viking Chad looking motherfuckers, that's one guy there. Life is sad. Why die? That's so unfair. It is fucking unfair. It's one of those existential things that I don't really like to think about, to be honest. I don't want to deal with it until I'm faced with it. And even then, I don't really want to deal with it. Sorry, I should have said Tank Tolman. I knew who you were talking about. I watched a movie about Mary's life and how she became an author. You mean Mary Shelley? Mary Shelley's life was fascinating. And for somebody of her age to come up with something so complex in the time that she did it, like, because obviously having been a professor in the past, like studying her in particular was fascinating. The fact that she was able to not only do it as a woman, but to talk about things during an age when kind of religious zealousy was at its height, or beginning to get to its height, is a very fascinating, like, kind of commentary on what was going on at the time. And I think Frankenstein is one of those novels that really encapsulates the time that it was in, which I really appreciate. Whenever you can link like historical, political spheres to a novel that very subtly touches upon those things, those are kind of my favorite historical like markers, which is why I kind of always look to people like George Orwell and people like that as well, because it's fascinating being able to look back and feel like you understand the time you're living in, the time that they were living in without having ever lived through it yourself. I think it's the best way to do it. Tomorrow's live chat would have been one that I had us do a topic vid for, but it seems more fun to do it live. Hopefully the lovely people on this chat hop on. That would be amazing. Do you want me to stream it on here as well, or just on Making the Walk? Maybe that's something we can talk about later, because it might be a way to rope in more live subscribers. So maybe we can talk about that. I'll completely leave it in your hands, seeing as it's your idea. I loved Animal Farm. 1984 is a brilliant novel, but it's also a fucking hard read. Weston, link my shit when the stream is done. I think I'm going to stay on for another 15 minutes, and then I'm going to bail out to your channel. I think I have about 15 minutes left in me. But yeah, George Orwell is one of my favorites as well. 1984 was great, but just a hard read. It's conceptually brilliant, but I just find Winston to be a whiny little bitch. It's like when people love that novel. What's it called? The Catcher in the Rye. I fucking hate that book, because listening to Holden just whinge throughout the entire, I don't get why that book is so well loved. Not that I hate it, but I just don't think it should have achieved a claim that it did. But yeah, I'm down for that. I'm down for that, Antoine. I'm all over it. Talking shit about Billy Loomis again. That character is a crush for so many lasses. Ski Uruk, who played it, must have a lot of girls who crush on him because of that. But yeah, Jason, it's a very weird thing. Yeah, that it says a lot about there is such a large section of the female persuasion that seem to be very much attracted to psychotic motherfuckers. I imagine he got endless reams of poon from that fucking role. You're absolutely right. It's like how when serial killers go into fucking jail and they get like panties in their fucking. Do you know what I mean? The idea that men are more sex driven than women is such a farce psyop. Women are rapey at times. Women be rapey at times. 100%, bro. Especially the older women get as well. And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I think that women like to keep that narrative going that men are the sexually charged ones. And it definitely, the older you get, it goes in the opposite direction. Men start to be like, I don't give a fuck anymore, and women get more and more. I think women peak a lot later sexually as well. See, I think women are falsely sex driven. They use it against men. That's the thing, because, and Crystal, you get it as well. It's like if we show them that we want it as much as they do, then we've got less to hold over them. It's genius. Got your paradox me slime. We're definitely gonna have to do a paradox raid when on the conclusion of this stream, which isn't that far away. Like I said, I think 15 minutes is Billy Loomis is probably the most good-looking psychopath in the franchise and the original killer as well. Scream was genuinely terrifying for me, but I did watch it when I was 11, so that might have had something to do with it. I have watched it since, and it's a little bit more goofy, but it was genuinely terrifying to me at the time. It really was. It put me off watching horrors after that for probably another 15, 20 years after that. But he was a handsome rogue. I'll give you that, Jason. He certainly was. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. We're all comfortable within our sexuality here, whatever that may be. But yeah, Billy, it's the first time I've met a really strong Billy Loomis, somebody who appreciates Billy Loomis. So fair play to you, sir. He definitely got mad poon from that role. There's no doubt in that. No doubt in that at all. So is there anything in particular you guys want to talk about before I slowly bring this stream to its conclusion? Crystal is one of the mandem, solid chick. To be fair, Angie's one of the mandem as well. Angie gets it as well. I've known Angie for a long time, and she's definitely could be one of the boys. For sure. It's nice having females around that kind of get it. And they know that we're not just being based for the sake of it. I do say things that are a little bit dialed up to 11 sometimes. Like I'm not like a fucking extremist in any walk of life, really. But there are some views on gender and the relationships between them that have gradually pissed me off more and more over the years. And sometimes I express them in a rather salty manner. It's the nature of experience. But I will say some of the female friendships I've had have been some of the best in my life. Now, when I've had genuinely female friends, like my daughter was talking to me about this today. She's got some creepy guy trying to get after her. My marital situation is very interesting, Jason. It's not something. It's the only thing on here that I don't really discuss. It's very, let's just say, complicated. Oh, mate, you got a Newcastle lass. Come over to Newcastle upon time. You'd get a lass right away. Very cute and kind lasses, if you know. I've heard like Newcastle women have a certain they definitely have one of the more positive reputations in the UK, for sure. They seem to be more loyal and down to earth. I'll put it that way. Whereas you don't want to be getting any lasses in London. They'll fucking destroy you. I do not fuck with London females or any females really for that matter lately. But That's a different story. I keep my situation very tight knit. I don't talk about it for good or for bad. It's the only thing on this channel that I don't really discuss in detail, more because of it feels kind of out of pocket, you know. But that's just how it is. So we've got about 10 minutes left to run, I would say, at most. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about in the meantime? Is there any news you want to bring up? Anything you just feel like getting off your chest? Because I mean, it has become that kind of place as well where we do kind of talk about things that are in our personal lives that we might feel like talking about. Yeah, because Newcastle upon Tyne is probably the most party city in the UK. I definitely need to get back there. I'm thinking that when I go to UFC 304, I might try and do like a Newcastle Manchester double because I don't want to party in Manchester. So what I might do is I might do like a Newcastle Friday and then get myself to Manchester on Saturday. So Jason, if you're on Twitter, it's the same handle. Hit me up and we can definitely hang out, brother. So I'll just type the Twitter handle in here as well. I don't know if you're a Twitter user. Bad MMA. I've kept it nice and simple because so Bad MMA Math is basically my Twitter handle across the board, or my handle across the board. Same for YouTube, same for Instagram, which I don't really use, and Twitter. Men and women can totally keep a platonic relationship. It's just how shifty is the woman. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, yeah, you can be friends with a woman forever and there can be no sexual feelings whatsoever. And then something can just switch on a dime to make it happen. Something can just switch on a dime. By the way, I need to join my own fucking Discord, by the way. Hang on a second. Let me click on the old Discord. What should everyone call you? Frankie. Let's do that. Wait, are you a human? Yes. Click on the entity that does not have a pair. Gotcha. Click on the entity that does not have a pair. Another wolf. Fascinating. All right, my G, I am in. I'm not going to be putting my real date of birth in here. Verification required. All right, this is I'm going to finish this off in a minute because I'm kind of ignoring people now. Yeah, mate, I'll talk to you and talk to you later and hang out. Fucking sweet, Jason. I definitely need a fucking Newcastle Chad. Talking about the UFC, do you think our British warrior Arnold Allen will be the next British UFC champion? No, I do not. I do think he's good enough, but he's just in a bad era right now. I think that loss to Max Holloway basically ended his chances of being a UFC champion just because he's going to have to go through a hell of a gauntlet to get there. It's possible because he is very good, but he's going to have to kind of win ugly and he's going to have to go on a hell of a run. He needs to starch out Giga Chikadze really badly to get his name back in there. And he's going to have to run it back with Max Holloway at some point to get that back. I know it was a close fight. It's just that I feel like Ilia Topuria is probably he's going to be on top for a little while now. He's going to be hard to stop unless Max starches him out and then you could potentially get that rematch back. But I think Allen's definitely good enough. It's tough. I'd say it's tough for him right now. That's also true, I reckon, Matthias. So how does this Discord thing actually... I've got no idea. I've never used Discord in my life. But we're about to get started. Make me a mod on Discord so that I can link the Twitter accounts I get news from. That sounds like the way to go. I'm going to quickly just add my phone number. Because it's saying I have to verify myself. So I'm going to do that promptly. It's asking me if I'm a fucking human again. This shit is not going to make... All right, it's already fine. We sent a 6-digit code to your phone. Did you? Oh, wait. All messages. Oh, there we go. Nope. Can't even fucking type properly. 00882. Enter your password. I don't have a password. Okay, great. Continue. Now it's saying verify by email. You're taking the piss now. Fuck. Okay. All right. Sorry about this, guys. I know I'm giving some dead air here. I do apologize. Why does it keep asking me if I'm a fucking human? Okay, there we go. We are Dunsky. I'm gonna have to save this now into my favorites so that I don't ever lose it, because I'm old and I won't remember. Done. There we go. We are in the Chad network. Let me just quickly save that. There we go. Discord up and running. Let's fucking go. Sorry guys, hang on a second. It's telling me to download an app for some reason. Yeah, I think on your phone you might have to do that. But I've done it on my laptop and it seems to have been very smooth. Apart from being asked if I'm a human every 10 seconds. Arnold Allen got robbed of his KO on Evloev. He absolutely did. I'm still fucking sick about that. And that could have got him right back on track. I mean, he would have that Evloev loss. That was part of it. So losing to Holloway and then getting robbed by Evloev has obviously ruined his chances of getting near the belt, because he's going to have to do a lot to get that fight back. But you never know. Opportunity might arise. If he murks out Shakedzi and then things fall in his favor, he could end up in a title fight. He has to murk him out though. I think if he gets two murked out wins, he could maybe get back into a title shot. Because I think Ilya would be more likely to fight him than to fight Volk and others. Oi mate, has someone told you that you look like the singer off The Clash? That's so Milt Belter. The Clash. I've never been told that before. Let me see. Could be worse. It definitely could be worse. I'll be real. The Clash. Could be worse, for sure. Could be worse. I mean, he's not the best looking gentleman I've ever seen, but neither am I. So it definitely could be worse. Tats is a Discord dickhead Chad. I only use Discord for Ronins and now yours, I guess. No, we're definitely going to be on that because I think it could be useful. Once I'm all in on this, this is probably going to be the only thing I use my Discord for. Get in. We need female representation and we need it badly. I do not condone sausage parties, ladies and gentlemen. Arnold Allen needs to be open to last minute fights to get in there faster. I think that's going to and Arnold Allen is not really known for that. He's not really known for being a short notice guy. Because he's very much into his food, as his YouTube channel will testify to. And he's not somebody who's very good at cutting weight. It might have to be a situation where he takes on like a 155 catch weight type situation with another featherweight, where a fight's been called off and he does what Diego Lopez does and basically signs up. Because I think Arnold Allen is a hard fight for anybody, but he doesn't. It's tough. We've got a Discord now. We've just opened one, Chris Gray. So join that Discord immediately. Let me throw the link in there. Hopefully this is the correct link. I hope. So there's the Discord, and we're going to save that into our let me make sure that it links to the right place. And it does. I'm even going to type up in there. We could use the Discord for news and notifications on Anton streams. That would be fucking bosh. Robert Whittaker would splatter Adesanya in a trilogy. I thought you won the second fight, mate. I really do. I thought you got robbed. Is a stretch, but I thought it was a bad decision. I thought you won that second fight, and I thought it was disgusting that you got robbed. Not robbed. I just said the word robbed after I didn't get robbed. But Tats is quick. This is going to be the new place now for shizzle. I'm gonna have to. So Discord has an app. I'm assuming on. I might have to get me a Discord app as well. Let me type that into my. I should do all this when I go off because I've still got to get that clip for Antoine later. All right, so we'll give it another 5 minutes. I think 2 hours 30 is a nice even number, and I do want to give Paradox some needed boost as well. So if we could start throwing Paradox the Chad his link into the stream, and also a reminder to subscribe to Making the Walk MMA as well. Subscribe to Crystal Miller, and subscribe to Paradox the Chad. Those are the people. They're all part of the team. So show them some love. I'd really appreciate it. Robert Whittaker is in the win column with 2 wins in a row, and he did it so amazing versus Aliskerov. You see that Robert Whittaker keep improving. He can become UFC Aussie champ again soon. Robert Whittaker is one of the greatest middleweights of all time. I think if I was Robert Whittaker, I would take the Sean Strickland fight, and then they cannot deny him. Take Robert Whittaker or take Hamzat, because I think he would have beat the brakes off Hamzat. And then he's undeniable. And I wouldn't be... Robert Whittaker has a chance in any championship fight. Any. He's that guy. Whenever he's lost, it's always been, well... The only time I've really seen him get destroyed is the first... Or at middleweight. Is the first title fight he had with Izzy. And then the fight he had with Dricus. He got slapped. Yeah, I'm about to put a video up of how my dog likes to eat off a fork. Wholesome fucking content, ladies and gentlemen. So do subscribe to Crystal. And like I said, subscribe to Making a Walk. Making a Walk has been absolutely butchering it lately. What is it? 2.4 thousand subscribers now? That's crazy. And well deserved, because your channel was absolutely fucking incredible. So you very much deserve that. And I'm going to jump onto your channel now to have a look through the live streams and see if I can find that Rose clip. I don't think it will take that long, because I know roughly where the clip is, and it was towards the end of the video, so I'm sure I'll find it. I definitely want that out in the universe. Have a good night, mate. Take care a lot, lad. All the best. You're cool. Jason, I really appreciate having you, bro. Really appreciate having you here. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to share some of your thoughts and to talk about them. It's been awesome. And hopefully we'll see you around again. Like I said, you'll find us here most evenings. So usually I go on between 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning, just because I try to capture everyone who's in America and the people in the UK who can't apparently sleep. So that's the way. Jax is stomping on bad MMA math. He is. It is what it is. I feel like when Jax is winning, I feel like I'm winning. So if anyone's going to stamp on me in the game, I want it to be Jax. For sure. Thank you very much, Angie. I'm going to check it out as well. You'll definitely get whenever you pop up in my notifications, I always jump on them. For sure. All right, guys. So the usual shout outs. Thank you very, very much to everyone who we win together. I very much appreciate all of you for being here. As always, the streams wouldn't be what they are without all of you. So thank you. We'll be back tomorrow for Making the Walks MMA's live stream. I'm not sure if we're going to link it here or not. But if you subscribe to Making the Walk MMA, you won't have to worry about that, because you will find me there and you'll find him there. And we always have good banter on the stream. So get over to Making the Walk MMA. Thank you, Jay-Z. Thank you to everyone. Like I said, join the Discord as well. It is linked. We can get something going there. I'm definitely keen on doing this book stuff. I think it would be a nice little divergence. Aaron, Blake Crouch was the one I was thinking of before I head off. He's got that series on Amazon now. Blake Crouch. The book that they did on that, it was Dark Matter. Ciao, Angie. Good to see you here as well. Blake Crouch, Dark Matter. Blake Crouch, Dark Matter. So much love to all of you. Thank you for giving us such an amazing community here. It does belong to all of us. So thank you very, very much. Also, please raid stream Paradox the Chad right now. He really needs the support. So if somebody could quickly throw Paradox the Chad up in there as well. In fact, I'm going to do that myself. Hang on. Where is Paradox the Chad? Let me just quickly link this here because I'm going to jump in there myself. So if we could all go and raid Paradox the Chad, that would be fantastic. Much love to all of you. Have a wonderful Monday, and we'll see you tomorrow for myself and Jax doing our thing. Thanks, Weston. Thanks, everyone. Much love, guys.